This is the story of Top Esports in the LPL. Top Esports joined the LPL at the end of 2017, acquiring Dawn Gaming's slot in the league. The organization made its mark by grabbing two exciting rookies before the 2019 season, 369 from their academy team, and Knight coming off of his first split in the LPL. Aside from some individual series against then world champions IG, Top were unable to make much progress in playoff best-of-5s. Karsa joined the team in spring of 2020, with Jackie Love making his appearance later on in the split, and with this level of talent, summer of that year marked the organization's first trophy in the LPL, and a top 4 finish at Worlds. With 369's departure in 2021 and Knight's a year later, Top were unable to replicate success with big names like Tian and Rookie joining, leaving them with a disappointing 2023 and missing some international appearances. TES looked towards the 2024 season and kept Jackie Love and Tian with some exciting names around them. 369's return after a great year on JDG, Cream from an upstart OMG lineup, and world champion Mako, leaving EDG for the first time in 9 years. TES finished no lower than 3rd in LPL that year, with a top 8 performance at Worlds and MSI. Continuing to build off of this roster, TES looked to longtime JDG member Kanavi and former world champion Chris to earn yet another trophy for the organization. Instead of explosive solo lanes, however, 2025 Top Esports sees Kanavi at the helm with solo lanes to support him in one of the best bot lanes in the league.
22 best of fives down, one final one to go. Welcome in, everybody, to the unofficial LPL English broadcast to conclude Split 1's regular season with our matchup, LGD taking on TES. I will be your play-by-play, taking you through Slayer here with my good friend, my awesome analytical mind off to my side, Alk Battery. Alk, it's an exciting one. We're closing it out together. It just feels right, man.
Yeah, and we finally have a group stage tournament where the last day matters. You only get those every now and then, but as you can see reflected in our standings, we have one last playoff spot to give away. Whether it goes to Top Esports or LGD is determined by the gameplay we'll be seeing here tonight.
A lot of other groups, too, to take in. Breathe them in. Maybe not exactly the standings everybody was expecting. A lot of the talk has obviously gone down to Group D with that NIP top and IG having a fight. Well, it didn't look too competitive last night. Definitely had to fight hard till the end to get that second spot, but obviously the talk of the town. For me personally, being the viewer of and the caster of all three of their series wins, Thunder Talk Gaming out of Group C, #1 seed. You can find somebody that predicted that across this whole wide world.
That was a crazy series, and I'm sure you guys are having fun on the broadcast. That was a lot of fun to watch. I feel bad for whoever's first-round opponent in lower bracket of playoffs is Billy. That one's going to be that one might be a bit of a stomp. Depends on what form of BLG we get. If we get another series like we saw in Group C, then maybe we got the returning LPL champions going down a bit early in the playoffs. But today, all about that Group A right now, and I'm looking forward to this. I think everybody at home should be looking forward to this. It is, I think, favored towards Top Esports expectedly, but LGD have shown a lot of great things earlier on into this 2025 season, and hopefully they're able to prove something today.
Exactly, Alkin. The group, obviously, no game difference needed with only one game separating these two squads. It is going to be as straightforward as it comes, folks. Winner of this series is going to lock up that second seed spot below anyone's legend. But let's take a look at how we got here really quickly. The ending schedule, if we can throw that one on up there, see exactly the slate of games of this after our Lunar New Year break. Been a lot of fun matchups. I believe we've had 2 best of 5s in this week. And obviously at the very end, our final match of the regular split, LGD versus TES.
Yeah, long series this week, especially with that TT BLG. I thought, okay, the last couple days have been weird, man, because we had the TT BLG series, and then there was that huge upset during the TT BLG. We had T1 versus HLE. That was going on. And I thought maybe, okay, maybe this is just the weekend. Maybe this is just the week of upsets, because we had IG versus FPX. That first game had me shaking in my boots. IG just needed to win a single game. They ended up 3-0ing, and maybe the magic is still in the air. It maybe have missed our Phoenixes, but here today, I think that there is likely, it is possible, LGD can make magic happen.
I'm with you. I know it's a sentiment shared by a lot of our lovely casters and crew on this lovely LPL unofficial English broadcast. Shout out to Cubby, who I know is campaigning for this LGD team for a while. He told me multiple times they're his favorite team to watch in the entire world so far in 2025 has been this LGD squad.
He's paid. He's paid off, bro. I already know. We haven't paid him anything. So the LGD, whatever they got over there, they sent him a kit. They sent him a crew kit fast.
Send it right over. Express shipping as we are setting up to express ship this matchup. But obviously got to talk about it holistically, get a big-time view. That starts with our rosters of course here, and we'll be introducing first to you our challengers in this matchup, as we like to call them here. LGD Gaming, Sasa in the top lane, Climber in the jungle, XQW mid lane, Xiaoya at AD carry, and YCX to round out double, triple letter named players on this roster. It's going to be a fun one on that front, but this team in general has just been fun ever since they took home that LDL championship.
Yeah, well, XQW and Climber being able to bring home a piece of silverware over in the LDL last year and getting the call up to LGD. This feels like a roster, while surrounded by a lot of young talent, with Xiaoya being the only returning member from last year, There's some exciting stuff here. Clymer specifically has been, I think, a big driver for this team, and so we'll see what the young guns of the LDL have to prove up against some pretty heavy hitters going across from them.
Heavy hitters indeed. Storied roster, without a doubt, on the other side of this matchup. LGD, though, it's going to be fun. We're going to talk about it a lot more, but all the way back to the Demacia Cup, some of these guys are impressive. I'm glad you brought up Clymer. We've got some time to talk about Clymer down the road. Don't want to spoil anything for you guys too early at home. Let's introduce Top Esports on the other side here. The team many are expecting to slot in with anyone's legend to move on to the playoffs. You know the roster pretty darn well by this point. Top lane is 369, Kanavi in jungle, Cream mid lane, one of the standout LPL GOATs in my opinion, Jackie Love at 80 carry, and Chris to round out the bottom lane here. While they certainly are storied and franchised players in the LPL, hasn't been easy to start out 2025.
Look, we had 369 come back home after last year. We're making a big change, I think, for this team coming into 2025 with Kanavi and Crisp now here. I just hope for TES that they're able to bring home a trophy. It's been so long since we've been able to see them lift up the Dragon Cup, and I mean, when you have a roster like this, you have Kanavi finally leaving JDG. You've got Crisp, who was unable to kind of pull things together on that Weibo roster last year. I think that this is the year that they really want to splash out and make a run. They have to be able to do it, especially with, I mean, being able to keep Jackie Love for so long. I think eyes from fans and the community sentiment, maybe Jackie Love might be on the market coming into 2026. We'll see what happens. Would be really exciting to see, I think, if this team can actually get to that ceiling that has been fantasized for so long.
Especially would be fun because of some of the conversations that have been around other 80 carries that are coming to the LPL. They've been very impressive.
True.
As I continue my Thunder Talk lays here. 1XN?
Oh my
I
God.
hope they're still watching.
Come on, he's not even playing today. He already won. Let him go to playoffs.
All right, you're right. I'll get him out of the way early, right? Okay, so we get him out of the way early. But I'm glad you mentioned Chris because, you know, talk about him being a big addition here. I think nobody has been so quickly impactful on the other side of this matchup for LGD, Mr. Alk Battery, and then our lovely support here in the matchup. This support matchup is gonna be awesome between these two squads. But YCX, hey, he won one of the players of the week of week 1, and for good reason.
I was told by Kelsey Moser these things are fraudulent because apparently giving it to PP God doesn't count. So whatever.
What?
Look, YCX has been impressive. Like we were kind of setting up. I think the 2v2 for LGD has been able to really hold their own both against AL and versus Team WE. So I think when we come into this, Jackie Love and Chris haven't been firing on all cylinders, and as long as YCX and Xiaoya can kind of get things going early, there is a very big potential that the names that we had been talking about for TES don't necessarily deliver, especially off the back of these two in the bottom lane.
And you saw in the clips there, one of the things that really impressed me about YCX that is really important, there's importance to highlight it in the Fearless format. This guy, while it's been an engaged support meta for a very long time, I'm not sitting here pretending like we need to be seeing some Enchanter-only supports because those just don't work. But if you can pull out the Seraphine in clutch moments, you can lean on these Enchanters when the Fearless draft dictates it. Really gives you a couple of points in my support pool, and which matters a lot as an 80 carry player. You know, if anybody's going to judge them the most, it's going to be us.
Kyle also was one of the early adopters of the Seraphine. I think the first person to pull it out here in 2025. So, look, maybe just following in the footsteps of greats here so far, early on into the 2025 season for LPL.
Yeah, we'll have to see if we'll see that Seraphine tonight. There's been some high-level Enchanter plays, especially when you talk about going deep into best-of-5s. Some people might be seeing that tonight. But on the flip side, you've got a lot of 2v2 talk, but some of these solo lane matchups, even historically, if we're looking back between 369 versus Sasa, there's a lot to love.
I think that it's the parallels in their stories, right? Like, for both of them, we're talking about two guys that were able to make pretty top finishes in the LDL, the split prior to them making it into the season. And I think where we see 369, where he was paired with Knight, they make an okay run on Top Esports or Top Gaming at the time. Sasa and XQW have the potential to be able to kind of match some of that. They were able to perform in Demacia Cup, and while they didn't make it out into top 8, I think that there's a very real possibility that this LGD roster will surprise people. If it comes in the series, great. I'm really looking for this LGD roster to kind of swing in on Split 2 and Split 3.
I'm just loving the blast from the past we got here on these highlights. I can't believe I just watched an OG. I'm going to see it again. An OG Aatrox revive. What the heck is that?
I love that. I miss old Aatrox. I miss old Aatrox, man. God.
But let's sing home some of these parallels, because this might be one of my favorite graphics of the split here. They're undeniable between these two top laners, and it just makes the old adage gatekeeper conversation even more fun tonight between 369 and Sasa.
I think it's super incredible that both of them somehow figured out to lose to the Demacia Cup champions in their first LPL series. The script writers, maybe they just felt a little lazy. They're like, you know what, let's just rehash this for Sasa. It's been a couple years, man. 369's been rocking it up in the top lane here in the LPL for a bit. Let's just go ahead and rehash some of these details here for Sasa. Sasa, I think, has been really impressive, and we'll see what he looks like up against a 369 who, to be honest, I think isn't hitting the same highs as we saw either in 2024 and even before that. So this might be another matchup where we were talking about for LGD. The young guns might just be kind of hitting their stride, and TES have not looked impenetrable so far.
Least shocking tie point here from Slayer. We're talking about young gun squads making some impact in the LPL. It's definitely been the split for it. I'm not going to say the name of the team. But hey, if there's any split to be impressive right now in split one, LGD, you got teed up by some other squads. Maybe this is the year of the young guns toppling some old head gatekeepers. It certainly has been to start off. There's no denying that.
That would be, I think, really exciting, but we got to be honest. This should just be TES winning this series, guys.
It should be.
If TES don't make it, I guess we should kind of go quickly over the playoff implications. There's one last spot for playoffs. And it's literally just win this series, guys. All you got to do. If Top Esports wins, that's it. If LGD wins, boom. There's no hoops to jump through. There's no like, we're waiting on the results of another series. No, last series of the group stage here. And it is the last spot. I think it is super exciting. And I just want to see which team is actually able to perform, especially with, I think, some of the trajectories we've been able to see. TS have not been, as clean as maybe we should expect. But I think that their floor should be a lot higher than what we expect for LGD.
The classic debate tool. I love it. The floor and ceiling. But yeah, I'm with you. Like the ceiling of this top esports roster should definitely exceed the LGD ceiling. But when you're playing at your floor, and LGD's been rocking up to their ceiling for the split one, anything can certainly happen. And it is the LPL after all. One of the reasons why it's the greatest league in the world is because chaos somehow ensues on Summoner's Rift here, and I'm just locked in and ready for it. And we talk about it all the time, right? How many hyped up prospects across every single region have you talked about seeing, coming from whatever tier 2, whatever dev league you want to call out? Very, very few are able to make impact really ever in tier 1. Even fewer of a margin can make impact so early on. And the fact that we've seen some impressive things, albeit at a much lower sample size from guys like Climber, guys like XQW, it really can bring some confidence into a squad that they can just allows them to kind of play with the nameplates off, as a lot of people like to say. And that's the LGD I hope we get tonight, because if we get that LGD, I think it's going to be a long night into the morning for myself.
Look, it takes a bit before some rookies pop off. Obviously, everyone's expecting to see them kind of do it immediately. That doesn't usually happen. Also, a lot of rookies tend to get paired into lower-end teams, so kind of that snowball of once you start losing, you just keep doing it. But, I mean, we're seeing it start to come into fruition now. 1xN, while he's not a straight-up rookie, it took him a bit to now finally find himself in this position for TT. I think some of our other kind of pull-ups from the LDL are starting to at least be making some noise. I don't want to say that they're kind of overtaking the league and they're not overrunning over anybody, but I look at specifically something like an OMG roster where you have Linfeng and Starry. These guys seem to kind of slowly be finding their stride, and hopefully during Split 2 that'll be kind of a moment where we see players like even Bot from FPX kind of find their voice and find their way into the game.
We're going to find our way onto the stage here with the walkouts coming in to kick off the final series of the group stage, Split 1 2025. As I do cover to the LPL, I obviously knew the history of some of these hyped out walk-ups, some of these cool things. We haven't gotten too much of that. Oh, okay, somebody's starting a little bit early. That's not good for the. That's
fair. It's just like us. It's just like us sometimes. Sometimes we misfire on the go live button. So happens. But yeah, I feel bad for you. I kind of feel like I hyped you up. You know what? I will just send you later on, if I remember, some of the highlights of people walking out, because we used to have like Doimby come out and do some walkouts. We used to have UCal, who fortunately over on DRX has not been able to do. You know, he's been as emotive as ever, but everyone's been playing it safe. Maybe as they get comfortable to the new formats, maybe we get experimentation.
Maybe they just like, you know, get the emotes down when they're in the chair. If you're talking about UCal, man, that guy, I hope the guy didn't bruise his tailbone earlier on this week. The way
if you don't know, just go ahead and look on the Lowly Sports page. You'll find it. There's a great GIF of UCal after winning.
Without a doubt. But what I was going to say is, you know, with walkouts being more generic from these teams we kind of got tonight, I've just been using this time to kind of like fashion check both the squads. My favorite example, the best example you'll get, the OMG versus Ultra Prime matchup, the like royal purple and that like creamsicle orange jumpsuit. That was sick. Tonight we kind of just we're kind of a little bland. Am I the only one that just sees like OGT1 with this top esports fit, or which red are we going with here? I'm confused.
Kind of.
That's not their red. Is that their red though?
I think it's missing some like. I think the old SKT T1 jackets were just too clean, right? Like you had like the nice accents of like a gold, yellow, and the black trim. It looked too good, but I don't know. I like LGD's jackets a lot more.
I like
to be honest.
LGD
I'm usually a big red fan. Maroon is my favorite color, but
what the heck?
LGD, I just think that they have. I said it first, so that means it's mine now.
Darn.
LGD, I think, are just so clean. They've got very, very simple color palette, but I like the gold trim that you see on the jump jackets.
Yeah, they even got the. I can't tell what the accent is in gray too, but definitely feels a bit more polished. So, fashion award goes to the LGD side. What does that mean for the series? Absolutely nothing. What does matter for the series is the 1v1 that's coming up here, and it is going to be our top laners facing off here. It's going to be Sasua taking on 369 as we get a look at the junglers.
It's okay. We can just wipe this. Guys, it's okay. We'll talk about our junglers later. Junglers don't matter.
It's a preview.
It's okay.
It's a preview.
Sasa, you guys got a sneak peek, which, by the way, if you go ahead and subscribe on our Coffee or you get interested into our YouTube, you can get early access to content like our interviews and even ask questions. But look, this is our 1v1. This is going to be Sasa versus 369. We already kind of teased it beforehand. And this is for side select, right? Side select is going to be such an important part of these series, especially in Fearless. We've been seeing it, I think, time and time again. As soon as a team loses on blue side, or you lose the side select, it's just red side every single game. So, kind of interested to see what these two guys are able to put up.
Yeah, the only time I've seen a losing team take red side, all the games I've casted was BLG. And they did win the game that they picked red side off the loss.
But they lost the war.
The series, yeah. So how much credit do you really want to give them for that pick? We'll see, though, how our winner of this 1v1 decides to lean towards side select. I think it's just going to be blue side. I'm just happy there's a Corki ban. Actually, both the champions I had to watch in the last 1v1 are banned out here. Renekton versus Corki was the matchup I got last time. So for me, this is just a fresh slate, and that makes me happy.
I'm glad. We'll see what the two top laners are going for. We've been getting a lot of AD bruisers. We have seen Garen before. Angel was the most recent pick of the Garen. We're getting 369's Mordekaiser, which, I mean, last year he was 9-0 on the champion. He has lost on the champ most recently, but I think it's always a treat when we get to see him play this. And hey, what better than a 1v1 style on the Rift, or on the ARAM map, to kind of pull out Mordekaiser himself.
This is the classic catch-22 matchup, right? Because Garen is, all right, I'm going to throw down my whole combo and kill you. And then Mordekaiser is, all right, the longer this fight goes on, the better chances I have of winning. So this will be a very interesting matchup to get. I am a big Mordekaiser truther. Whenever I get auto-filled top lane, it's the only champion I'm ever comfortable playing. And Garen is overpowered, so we've heard that all the way back in NA recently talking about Garen. So we'll see Garen out on the 1v1 stage. My favorite part, though, about these 1v1s, because it taps into, like, those early gamer days, right? Even early gamer lands where you can see, like, the teammates of each squad all like kind of like leaning over to look at your monitor. Like that's the OG days.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone piled behind one
All the
monitor.
LANs, I mean, we still do those, right? Like anytime there's like an LTA event or, you know, you go out to any kind of league event, for the most part, they'll always at least have some setup to do a 1v1 versus people. So
Usually.
yeah, exactly. I think it's exciting to see this kind of. I think it is more interesting than just the coin flip. The coin flip was.
Yeah.
No one could see it. We almost never did it on screen, and then it was just arbitrarily, yes, this team won blue side. All right, cool. This one, at least, there's some stakes. I think it's more interesting for fans and for people who are have never seen this before or who are just joining us at the very end of our group stage. It is the first two kills, first to 100 CS, or if you're able to grab the first turret. But at 7 minutes, there's a big ring of fire that turns it into a sudden death. We have not seen 100. We have not seen 100 CS. We have gotten a turret kill once.
Yeah. Oh, we got a turret kill in the TT BLG series.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was. That's why the Renekton Corki matchup was lame. Range melee. We're getting just melee on melee action tonight, and 369 has already got Sasua down to half HP. But the fun part, or the least fun part about League of Legends for me, with Garen is guy just stays out of combat. He just heals. Everything back up.
Yeah, he needs to hit a certain breakpoint, though, because, yes, he does get the free Warmox passive thanks to being Garen, but when he does hit minions or when he gets into combat with minions early on, it does trigger. So he can't exactly free sustain, and 369 has already done a great job of getting damage onto him. I wanted to real quick dive into 369's history on Mordekaiser. I was wrong. Not only is he 9-0, which that part was correct, he is 16-2 all time playing this champion. So
that's my go.
May have an impact later on into the series, but in this 1v1, I think it's going to be a little tough for Sasa with those nameplates on if that's occurring.
Exactly. And the unfortunate part for Sasa with this matchup as well is usually when you see Garen versus Mordekaiser, Garen can be a bit more comfortable because level 1, he's much more powerful than Mord, but the fact that Mord gets access to his W, the Claw already in these 1v1s just makes him so much better into Garen and really spoils all of his early tenacity in this matchup. Both of our players, by the way, rocking Barrier Ignite, so there isn't really even much of a Summoner's Edge going on in this matchup until somebody burns one, obviously.
Level 6, maybe. Maybe if 369 can get a bit of a play, but yeah, I just don't even know if, like, the Mordekaiser ult. The biggest impact Mordekaiser ult's going to have in this 1v1 is just the stat stealing, right? Mm-hmm. Like, when you channel it, boom, Sasa's going to lose access to that. But depending on the rune setup here from Sasa, Garen's really potent. I think ever since they added Axiom Arcanist, and obviously Garen hasn't really been changed recently, this champ is kind of ridiculous. I know we've been seeing Whippo pull it out over in the LTA, but I'm a little scared here for 369. How often are you playing Mordekaiser into Garen?
Other benefit of the Death Realm is also you can access those isolated Qs, which really boost up Mordekaiser's damage numbers. So we'll see. Right now, 369 is really just playing the farm game, trying to get as many waves crashing into that turret, canceling out that healing from Sasa as often as possible. He has been able to dodge the last couple of Qs, which has leveled this matchup pretty much, nearly identical health bars, but keep in mind 369 can just throw it out at any point, and there he goes with the Death Realm, pops the Ignite on top, barrier used by Sasa, he's under his own turret, 369 couldn't give less of a damn, eats the Demacia Justice, and finds the first kill of the 1v1.
Now 369 should be able to just take up this whole next wave. He'll have the added bonus of the first blood, he'll be able to recall. I wonder how much of an item advantage he'll have. He has 2,400 gold, and he's going for the plate as well. I mean, there's no teleporter, right? Like a regular ARAM map.
Nope.
Wait, you get empowered recall for getting first blood? Huh?
Oh.
He gets a Riftmaker first item. All right, guys, open.
This is
open.
Pack it up.
Maybe Sasa can win, but Ignite is not up. We have double summoners down from both of our 1v1ers. You can see the grid on 369's face. He's like, I think this is looking a bit over. This guy's looking free.
Bro just hit tab and saw Sauce's items. He's like, all right, we're blue side.
Sauce is about to see his items. Look at him. I'm ready for him to walk and be like,
smiling up to him. He's like, this thing's over, bro. He's like, all right, I'm just gonna take some farm. He's throwing down already. He's like, there's no way I win into this Riftmaker. All right, it's inevitable by this point. We'll see if Sazua can get somewhat creative, but we're back to just 369 shoving waves down his throat and waiting for him to make one mistake, bring out a little bit too far, or maybe just for his ult to come back up. That's really all he needs.
It's fine, guys. It's fine. We'll just farm under our turret, which it has been what 369 is doing, and for everybody at home is like, well, Garen's just going to be able to win this. He's going to play Swift
What's
Play.
Swift Play?
Sorry, everybody.
Yeah.
Yep. Swift Play would be more fun if I didn't have to perma-lock a champion for every time I wanted to queue up. That's just super annoying.
Yeah, that's true. No idea what the matchups. I always find it funny they introduced the sudden death thing on Swift Play as well now, so it's like matches get force ended at some point. It's like
yes,
wow,
it's like
really...
Clash. It's like Clash
Yeah.
when it's like exactly like Clash, except there's no competitive stakes to it. So I like that. I want Swift Play to be like the for fun, like hey, we're trying to play games quickly kind of mode.
Yep. Nothing quick about this matchup. 369 has gone right back to shoving even more minions into his pocket. Got a bit bigger of a CS lead growing. Both ultimates are back. All summoners are back. But, I mean, this is just an item disadvantage. So at some point, Sasa is going to either have to force his hand or 369 is going to chunk him lower by lower, minute by minute. And, yep, going for another wave. Let's reset it.
Yeah, look at his items, man. Look at this dude's items. He's down 1,500 gold. Fine, happens.
My man has a
But
bounty and a 1v1.
it's a full legendary item versus this guy has boots, a dagger, and whatever. Tunneler is just like a fancy Vi arm. That's it. This guy has nothing. This guy is extremely broke in game.
And if he backs, he might lose his entire turret. Those plates are a little more deceptive than you think. He's going to try for the recall here. I wonder what 369's response is going to be. Obviously,
It's going to be
no-
press Q on the minion wave.
no portal, so it'll take a bit longer for Sasuke to get back. He does get the Spear of Shojin, so we're matched one legendary for one legendary, but that turret going down ends the 1v1, and 369, he's just charging home for it. I mean, even if he dies
my
going for
God.
this turret, it doesn't end the 1v1, but he's not going to push his luck that much.
Oh, it might now. The sudden death is starting to come on through. Everybody, you can
Oh.
see on the minimap that big red circle means that as soon as that ring of fire starts to close, it'll be the start of our sudden death. No matter the fact that 369 got the first kill, if Sasa finds a 1v1 here, he will win the 1v1 and grant side selection for LGD. 369 doesn't have time to recall, so the amount of gold he has in his
here.
pocket, the items he has, is exactly what he's going to have to fight with.
The gold is useless by this point. I can hear Johnny Cash singing, getting closer and closer. There's the ring of fire as it comes in. It's only a matter of time before 369 calls the bluff, hits the R button, doesn't hit the claw. He's still holding the ult there, throws it down. Already has Sasa far too low, and even with the Spear of Jojo, this thing wasn't even close. 369 gonna grab himself and Top Esports side selection for our matchup.
I'm glad that he's even started emoting in the middle of the fight. He's like, this is just over, man. The Garen ult barely cracking the Mordekaiser shield happens. Happens, bro. You were down, you were out, and like you said, side selection going over to TES. We'll see what Top Esports decide. It has been majority, like we were saying, blue side, and for our two, kind of upcoming matchups, yeah, it's gonna be blue side going over to TES. I'm
Whoa,
looking
no
forward
way.
to it, man.
Blue side locked in there for Top Esports. Well, we got the 1v1 with the top laners, so as we wait for this draft to get kicked off, I think we should just be ceremonious and move down the roster a bit. We've talked a little about this matchup, but I am most excited to see Climber, one of those big-time LDL players making that move up versus Kanavi on the other side. And I know all we talked about before we got on the show here, especially interesting to see how both these players get prioritized in the draft from our two teams once we get into it.
Yes, for Kanavi specifically, there's been a big focus in their last couple series of making sure they're able to grab up whatever champion he wants. I think he's been a really big influencer, being able to lead the team, and now that he's finally left JDG, we'll see if he can kind of bring home a championship here for TES. And for Climber, he's like the exciting jungle prospect coming out of the LDL, out of the developmental league here for the LPL, and he's been so far impressive, but I think when you go up against top names here in the LPL, you really need to be able to deliver, and it's going to be series like these that I think define Climber as a player, especially in the eyes of the international community abroad.
No better LPL test jungler than a guy like Kanavi. I just love my favorite part about these stats for Climber. My guy's like, yeah, first in KP and KDA, and he's 11th between junglers in damage per minute. You know what that translates to,
Happens.
folks at home? This guy loves taking the kills on some low health members.
He had Pantheon and Lee Sin in his last games, okay? So, necessary, I would say. He's picking up kills left and right with the Lee Sin queue, but Yeah, exciting stuff for our two junglers, and I want to see what this looks like, not only for Kanavi, I think, who has been performing a little bit under expectation alongside all of TES, and for Climber, can he actually move up against, I think, one of the best junglers here in the LPL, who I think has performed so well for the past couple of years.
Well, here we go. Time to figure out that matchup first, and right on schedule, Top Esports continue the trend of banning away that Ambessa. Not a fan of playing it. Don't really want to see it in the LPL, but stop me for this one on the red side, folks. Skarner, 100% ban rate continues. LGD not going to break that trend anytime soon.
We should just be expecting, red side bans have been pretty similar all year long. It has just been Skarner, Rumble, Kalista. And for TES, big eyes for me is that Ambessa ban. What is this champion going to look like throughout the entirety of our Fearless Best of 5 here, as TES have not really ever shown that they're going to be playing Ambessa. So going to be looking forward to that as we get further off and finishing our last day of groups here.
Last day of groups. Our first B1 of the last day of groups. A lot of powerful LPL champions still left up in my mind. The Galio ban is an intriguing one. I wonder if that signals somewhat where Top Esports want to go with their comp. I know Galio has been pretty prevalent in LPL matchups, but I feel like he's a big counter pick, right? You can't necessarily get away with just picking him into any situation, even with his flexibility. I've seen him top, support, mid lane at points in this split.
Yeah, I think he just has a really strong mid pool right now. Kalista, however, off the available, and giving that up to Jackie Love and Crisp, who have been, I think, not necessarily hitting their strides, but you think individually, Jackie Love, his individual mechanical prowess, and Crisp, someone who has played the range support so well. I think his Nico and Renata are especially potent. LGD, they make the trade. They want to go for the Ashe as the counter pick, and they get themselves Cassante blind. So I like this from LGD. I think it's a worthwhile trade.
Worthwhile indeed. A lot of powerful continuing it with this Jace locked in on the other side for Top Esports. Game 1 of Fearless, Alkin. We're going to knock out a ton of really integral champions in the LPL this split. And hey, we might even get a YCX Seraphine game right off rip. I thought this might come out the bag if we go deep, but we're going, I mean, it's not a bad strategy when you have Renata on the other side. You can't really pick any of those classic engaged champions into a pick like this, especially on Crisp.
It's a bit tougher. I think the closest answer would probably be maybe a Leona, being able to outrange her or stop her before she gets her handshake out. But yeah, difficult. LGD building out, I think, a very resilient front line. Cassante is going to be good on a side lane by himself, and then come team fights, he's going to be the normal Cassante. And I think with the added support and utility of an Ashe and a Seraphine, we need to see big damage dealers coming out from Climber and XQW. So coming into the second phase of draft, TES should be looking to focus on that. And for them, I think the Jace flex does so much work. We haven't seen Cream pick up the Jace, however. So interested to see if that's going to be something new we get, or more mages, which has been akin to what we had so far in the LPL.
After the Jace changes that kind of have nerfed somewhat of his tankiness ability, obviously it's not fully taken away yet, we've seen, but I think it has opened up his flexibility a lot more. Always got to love holding a flex pick as well going into the back end of a draft. LGD definitely thinking that's going to be a 3-6-9 Jace. And I don't hate the strategy, especially always when you can take away Cream Silas in the second phase of bans. Never a bad adage.
Yeah. Junglers, though. Skarner, you could also be looking at stuff like, so we got rid of the Sejuani, another champion that Climber's kind of been first picking in a lot of them. Okay, yeah, so Vi's already gone. Xin Sao's probably the next most likely in terms of AD junglers, fighters. Wukong, good shout. Probably is going to be the response from Kanavi. If not, then picking up, I think, a Viego for himself. And for TES, they kind of have the ability to play around their bottom lane. They have some really strong skirmishing, but I think the 4-5 here is really going to determine. I like that the Jace is able to be not only flexible in the role, but I think really flexible in what he provides in a team.
I was curious if we might get a Lilia to kind of even out some of the damage profile from Kanavi, but you're going to get Cream potentially on an Orianna or Olaf. All right, we're sending the Jace mid. I kind of think that you have to put some AP in the jungle now.
It's Olaf jungle. Ooh. Wait. Ooh, okay, into Xin Sao, I mean, you can skirmish him early. That ultimate is going to be pretty dangerous. This feels like a great Olaf team to run into. I think that Kanavi dipping into his bag here with the Olaf might have secured TES a win. Now, what can LGD pick here in mid? There's not many mages that are going to be able to stop him. You can't do any like shenanigans around terrain building in mid, maybe a fancy Anivia if you're really kind of getting into it, but yeah, I don't know. We haven't seen much from XQW that can kind of, I think, change the tide there. He's going to pick up the Azir, okay.
They needed a reliable damage source that can churn out into the later phase, right? You can't really rely on Ashe for too long. Outside of that, you don't get much of that later game consistent DPS, or even, it doesn't even have to be later game, just consistent DPS at anybody else on this LGD side. So I do like the Azir, but I think you hit the nail on the head there, Alk. With Jackie Love Chris able to play this really potent Kalista Renata that's been terrorizing the LPL, and the Olaf pick, gotta feel like Top Esports are in a better spot for game number 1. But speaking of predicting how games are gonna play out, we have some predictions to throw up on the series before we hop into this game 1. So let's quickly get through those. And I am hoping for my 5th best of 5 going the distance of
Oh
the
my
split so far.
god. This guy,
Overall,
bro,
Top
he just
Esports.
wants to cast all the 5. Yeah, everybody, if you want to join the conversation, as you can see on screen, we have a Discord, a fan Discord that you can go ahead and join. You can get interested in that. The Discord profile that you see on the left, not just our producer Mickey on the bottom there, it's Theo, our predictions leader. So if you want to get featured on the broadcast, get to work, start getting those predictions. Probably a little too late for Split 1, but hey, Split 2, anything could happen. Even you could show up on the broadcast. Yes, you, random chatter.
Even you. But everybody here, including on that Discord, feeling the Top Esports win, no matter how many games it takes. We'll see if LGD have some more upset potential from the Split 1 in them as another Young and Gun squad with a lot of people excited. Time to put your money where your mouth is, though, if you are LGD, as we get set to head to the Rift for game number 1. Now, the question we always have to ask with the LPL, you foresee any lane swaps coming out here, and who do you like more in a potential action?
I mean, it's Ashe versus Kalista. It's pretty tough in the lane. You're also going to be playing Renata. I think you have Cassante. The ability for you to go for the lane swap is always there. LGD, I think, stuck with the idea of their composition that we saw in the first 3, which was a very, very heavy front line to be able to buy time for this Seraphine to get a lot of added value, for even this Insao now with this Seraphine. I think that's going to be a really potent duo. Here for TES, I love what they have for themselves. I think that they have the ability to turn on fights very, very early, and even walking blind, you have the Jace who can empower them. My eyes are obviously going to be looking at Kanavi on this Olaf. He has the Orianna to empower him. He has the Renata to empower him. This feels like an all-in composition for TS's jungle to be able to take over this game, and nobody on the side from LGD can really stop him.
You just made me realize that we're going to have a bailout on Olaf. That's absolutely disgusting.
Yes.
And I'm kind of
Yep.
here for it.
Oh, and our Pip right there, showing that 369 actually got the ward. So not only able to spot maybe some other people moving, but I think even 369, they did nerf the amount of experience you're able to get early on from early wards, not, just ticking 2 on wave 1. So I don't think it's going to have too much of an impact, but we're getting that lane swap, so we're probably going to be seeing a lot of solo laners sitting in mid lane as there's not much to do on the side lane.
They want some of the 2v2 action. They hear it's pretty fun down bot side, so they'll get into it now. And you gotta like it if you're Top Esports with the double ranged, right? You can really make it difficult for Sasa to step up and get Cream a bit more comfortable position early on before the top laners head to their much more cruel fates they've been given in this one.
Yeah, and my eyes will be not only on our junglers, but I think for this whole series, I really want to take a look at what Cream is able to actually do, because against XQW is obviously an LDL champion that's coming in from this last year. I don't think we'll be able to push Cream as mechanically deep as some other mids, but Cream has not looked good so far in this early 2025, and hopefully with more games played, more series under his belt, he'll kind of get a hang of some of these mages, but just hasn't been his sweet spot. So this will be a soft temperature check for guys like him, as we're already getting early plates going on over for both of our squads.
Super overloads coming across here. Top laners join their bottom lanes. Don't even want to deal with the flip side that they have coming. So a lot more adage going towards this Azir Orianna, the mid lane matchup, and of course the junglers as they both complete the second half of their vertical mirrored clears. Pretty par for the course so far.
So what is the choice here? Sasa looked like he went into Fog of War to potentially TP towards this top lane, but since they're cutting the wave, I think it's a bit difficult. He's just going to end up staying here, and 369 does have Demolish, but he only got a single plate. That was 2 plates here for LGD. So in the meantime, they'll win this in a bit of a soft trade here. And the junglers are on opposite sides of the map, so it's not even on that crash they wouldn't be able to check. We're actually getting a pretty non-standard swap here. So double plates here, especially for 369. I think he comes out of this a bit better.
Of course, the turret plate's even more important with the feats of strength. Feats of turret taking being one of those key ones to grab. So look for this bot and mirrored top tier 1 to potentially be the swing there as both teams strive for the double boots.
And Climber now has access to maybe finding something in mid. Cream's on low mana, is probably looking for a recall anyway. But I don't think Climber really wants to walk into this top side of the map. Now with the Hawkshot revealing Kanavi here, wanted to mostly just protect his topside camps and do not all that much. Again, we're looking at these junglers and where they're going to be ending up. We have grubs spawning in 2 minutes, but you already see TES are stacking away for this bottom lane. If it's not for a dive, then we're looking at some early dragon taking for them.
With their jungler on the other side, much further behind them, likely will be to try and play for that Drake as everyone chases another different type of the feats of strength here. First reset's going to come out here for XQW, though, and yeah, a lot of eyes going to be on Cream here, especially with this mage pick. Definitely been one of his big shortcomings, but with the comp around him, I still think Top Esports have put him in the most comfortable spot. It's not even about the shockwaves landing for Cream this game. It's just being an enabler for his superstar jungler as we finally settle back in to the standard lanes of League of Legends.
Okay, you kind of see it. TS are stacking, but good vision coming in from LGD. Will spot Kanavi and then moving into this tri-brush. And while this is happening, just continue to catch waves. TS now going to get spotted by a Hawkshot. Climber is walking over. Maybe there's some early skirmishing, but I doubt it. I think LGD are going to continue on their path, making sure that they can get to 2 and 3 items and then say, let's try to look for a fight.
YCX going for a bit of a cheeky route there. Does not land on the Jackie Love, and I'm with you
Not
here.
spotted.
It's pretty dangerous jumping into an early game Callista, Olaf, and Renata, but respect being given here from Top Esports. They're going to call Kanavi off that dragon, and despite that wave stacking and first move, the timers for Top Esports have been rudely interrupted.
LGD are doing a great job of just wasting TS's time. First, they stop Kanavi from getting the dragon, so now he's off timer for his top lane camps. Climber finishes the Gromp really early. They even delay Kanavi from resetting, so now moving into mid-wave, you already see grubs spawning, support and jungle are already here from LGD. XQW will be able to TP back into mid, and with an ultimate here, I wouldn't be surprised to see them try to fish for some kind of summoner spell. No flash on Cream would be nice, and there's no ultimate here for Kanavi, so they can actually look for an early trade here.
A lot of pings going down towards this top river. As both junglers rear their heads towards the grubs. It's going to be Kanavi to start it up here. Eventually looking to just maybe steal one away so there's no feats of strength conversation. Does have 369 on the move first down from the top side, and LGD are going to back off here and play the midway.
Oh, man, that kind of, I was going to say, maybe there is an angle, but because 369 got some early time in top lane by himself, he actually hits level 6 a little bit before Sasa, which, hey, usually doesn't impact the matchup, but having level 6 on your Cassante for that fight, I think would have done wonders for LGD. So they back off the play, they take some of the jungle camps on bottom lane, and maybe they can make a dive on this next incoming wave. You see the pings coming out. They want to take control of this bottom side jungle. 369 is going to put out some vision. That Hawkshot just went to hit our production squad. And they want to make this play. There's no teleport from anyone from TES.
All right. Only a matter of time. What does one of the veterans of the LPL do in a 1 versus 3? Unfortunately for you, 369, level 6 doesn't mean squat for your kit. And he's just going to back off safely, avoid the dive, but surrender more gold in plates and allow LGD to step closer to grabbing a feats of strength goal. But on the flip side, Jackie, Love, and Chris certainly doing their own fair share of work as these two turrets seem to continue to mirror themselves in HP.
Oh, Sasa, he's looking for it. He's fishing, but I think he took way too much damage.
Way too much.
Will spot Kanavi as well. Dangerous spot to be in. And even XQW, he's leaning on the bottom side of his lane, so he won't even pretend to be able to feign towards this. I think Sasa's in a bad spot, has flash and ultimate. Let's see what he can do.
And 369 likes his spot.
What
What's
the?
going on top side? Arrows will land on 369 in one side of the picture as we watch Sasa just drop. Jackie Love juggles the turret aggro pretty well. YCX nearly drops the 369 himself. They have to bring Climber in for help, but this dive is looking sketchier and sketchier. No mana on the Ashe. 369 flashing wants YCX's number, but is rudely interrupted. However, big win for Top Esports, grabbing the turret as well as XQW. That's not where your Sand Soldier's got to go, my friend.
Ah, man. Everything, I think, in a small bit of time goes wrong there for LGD. And TES, really great job of being able to execute not only 369 on a side lane by himself, showing some of that prowess in the 1v3, but top lane, Sasa ends up missing too many abilities. And while they'll eventually get this turret for the bottom lane, they were not able to get anywhere near the amount they wanted for the trade. And I mean, look, now you've got Kalista with a little bit of a lead. Now you can move into Dragon because you're now late on the reset from LGD. TS so far, early game looking strong for them. As we can take a look at this replay, 369 I think played this really, really cleanly. There's no Ashe ultimate that's been used by Xiaoya yet, but like, what are we waiting for? Yeah, he's already under turret. The wave is still here. And this entire time, Sasa, during that top lane dive, almost barely goes down. I mean, the fact that 369 lives for so long is, I think, a testament to how cleanly he was able to play most of this.
Oh, he tried.
All right, never mind. My bad. My bad.
Yeah,
my bad.
What?
My bad, bro. My bad. My bad.
I thought he might have gotten double rooted, but I think 369 was just stunned. Like,
he got the input cancel. He's like, he flashed forward. Yeah. He's like, my input. As happened before on Jace. Okay, so I can respect that. Happens.
Can relate all the way back home, across the waters to one of our LPL goats, 369. Gotta love it when you can relate to your heroes.
Yeah. During that replay, though, TES got Dragon during off of that, and they got the 3 grubs they were talking about on top side. So one more epic monster going over to TES turns into feats of strength already completed at potentially 12 minutes here. Even, I mean, 11 here, as 35 seconds before these grubs spawn. I'm going to expect for TES to want to play for this. You have strong side laners in the Jace, and you're going to be able to have Kanavi even shadow one of these teams and being able to kind of play on that side lane with them. Very, very dangerous, as LGD now all corralled in mid lane, but they still have a couple of options. You have so much team fighting and so much playmaking with this Ashe ultimate. It's going to be up to our legendary bot lane duo that we wanted to see a lot out of, Xiaoya and YCX, to kind of make these things happen.
We're in just such rare space right now with those feats of strength, because definitely in your solo queue games at home, but even mostly in the LPL, the first feat to be gained is usually the Warfare one. But we talk so much about the neutrals for Top Esports, but they could just find one team fight win if they find the first couple of kills and they have the feats even earlier on. It's weird that we're not already done with the feats of Warfare, but hey, maybe I'm alluding to it, foreshadowing it, as the Ashe Arrow does land on a Kanavi, holds on to the Ragnarok pretty expertly, recognizing there wasn't much further follow-through, so that's a key ultimate off of LGD.
Okay. XQW is here in mid, so they'll be able to crash in on mid. Kanavi looks like instead he's just going to regen. Maybe they'll make an entrance after the big naturals here coming in for LGD as they fight around the grubs. XQW almost gets caught.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
Dream gets a shockwave onto Climber. There is the hostile takeover. Only going to find Climber as well, as he chunks 2 ultimates away from Top Esports. 369. Enhanced shockwave comes down, but still the grubs in control of the youngsters here so far. Smite away Climber onto a second one. XQW trying to stretch the fight out with a 1v1.
Look at Cream
he has
now.
To flash himself back to safety.
Oh, wait a minute.
The face call nearly finds him. The handshake does over the wall, but LGD are still safe, and they're likely going to find this third grub, but it's stolen away by Kanavi as he goes into the Ragnarok.
Oh!
To bail out. How much longer can it save him? Not long enough, as YCX fights 2 on the backside with the Encore, and LGD step up. Xiaoya flashes forward for a volley slow. Heal onto Jackie, desperately trying to save him. He has to burn the flash next, but LGD, they're still on the hunt. They want the move speed. They've got the Ashlows, and they're picking them off one by one. Headshake down from Chris.
Oh my god.
Xiaoya, slow lands for YCX max distance. The volley's going to find
they're TPing for this. They're going to kill him.
It's just Cream and Jacula, but you called it all. The flank is out. There's nowhere to hide for Top Esports. It may not have been all at once, but LGD are going to find 5 kills. Jacula falls, and I misspoke. How did Cream win his 1v1? Now the question is, does he get this recall off? How is Xiaoya nearly dead? We're finally settling down. It's LGD blowing up for 4 kills out of nowhere.
They chased onto the top side of the map, and look at what's lost during this. Almost every summoner spell on the map is gone from all 10 of our players here.
What a sight
and
to see.
LGD finally are able to find a team fight win early on into the series. As we check this replay, all this focus onto XQW, and yeah, look, like, Cream and them, look at where all of this goes. No one's engaging with the Renata ult that's here. Doesn't land onto Shalia. 369, I think he's getting some pretty decent poke, but this focus from TES onto XQW. Jackie Love, Crisp, and Cream on this side of the fight just means that Shalia gets to stand forward, stand tall, and Kanavi makes the steal, yeah, but look at where the rest of his team is.
Encore.
I want to just give out big credit. Last time we saw this series, when we saw LGD play the Seraphine, it was a similar ultimate from YCX that set up his team for success versus Team WE. And here again, around the Grub Pit, he makes it happen with this ultimate. And I mean, yeah, they just chase them out. They get the summoner spells, which I think is important. I want to see exactly what happens here. I'm pretty sure it's just because he just peppers him from range. And Climber, oh, so close. But look, honestly, you'll take that. That's still a feat of war going over to LGD as they get those first 3 kills of the game.
And they also nearly got themselves a Monster Slayer one if the Kanavi steal doesn't come across. So it's still a tough spot to be in for those upgraded boots if you're LGD, but the gold speaks of more wonders nonetheless. And I'm glad you pointed out that YCX Seraphine ult, because as cool as the clip we showed at the start was, kind of assisted there by an XQW Shockwave. Nah, this time around, my man snipes 3 out with 15% HP, no regard for his own safety. Gotta love it.
Looking on all 3 mid here from LGD. They want to get focus on this dragon. They know that every single epic monster spawn now is going to be a fight, and they find Kanavi.
Oh, but there's the Ragnarok Shockwave delivery, but it's not enough. Kanavi drops, the Climber is able to limp away, and that's going to open up for a free dragon. So those feats of strength combos that we thought were done and dusted for top esports, now starting to see the door not just creak open, start to swing open here for LGD as they're really finding their tempo.
They still need to be able to find 2 more epic monsters, but a mistake coming in from
they're not
Kanavi.
done.
Now an Ashe ultimate. Do they find Crispy? Yeah, I mean, they're just trying to force out the Kalista ultimate. Fair play. 57 seconds before the Rift Herald spawns. I think that that's a worthwhile trade from you. And we'll see how much 369 is able to get on a side lane. He has 4 grubs, and one thing that I will say about TES is if they don't win team fights, they've been a team that, especially for their solo laners, have been focused on making sure that they're cross-mapping, getting turrets, applying pressure on the side lane so that solo laners don't just get away scot-free. So, well, I want to see how much 369 is able to get, and that ultimate from Cream, it's going to suck to be able to miss out on that. We'll probably be up before this next fight, but I mean, doing that on the Climber just feels like a big mistake. He has the ultimate, right? So you're just never able to deal damage when the Crescent Guard comes out.
You're only just delaying him. Just a little bit of crowd control down. Does get it over to level 2, though. So you got level 2 Shockwave for Cream. One of the few level 2 ultimates on the Rift so far, just between our 2 mid laners. Classics, Tom, you've heard this one before, by the way, if you're looking up at those timers. Another Voracious Otacon in the LPL stock standard, so we'll get that as well. And should potentially be a player for the feats of strength if LGD are able to find this Rift Herald, but Kanavi is on top of it already with all the vision in control with top esports.
XQW's nowhere near this objective. It's already half HP. I feel like this is going to be a bit dangerous, and if they don't grab this objective, the feats of strength, I think it's going to be fine to give over. It's potentially the fight afterwards that I'm looking for.
All right, Herald down, boots upgraded on the top esports side. LGD though, look at the angle they're trying.
They cut them off from mid. Look, they have entrance through mid, and Xiaoya has the ultimate. Jackie Love does not. They're gonna make a play.
Onto the Olaf once again.
Just hit the mid turret, guys.
On to Ragnarok. Mid turret is being hounded, but here comes Kanavi. Pops the Ragnarok, has the speed up boost behind him. Minions are dropping under the wave as Sasua takes a couple of turret shots, and the old Ragnarok call protects that turret, and look what 369's cooking up topside.
Great job from TES right there. They lose very minimal for that. They don't even lose the mid-tier 1 in this entire time. 4 grubs, 369's able to be here. He's probably just going to have to take this turret and leave as XQW and Sasa are going to find him here. What else can TES get on the map? Because the amount of time it takes for them to kill 369, they lose push in mid, and all this time now, Cream just arrived into the bottom lane, and there's not going to be much to match. They're going to have to probably force the teleport from LGD.
I think Cream's going to grab enough gold to really even us out here. So despite the kill count, top esports playing the map much better, as you expect from a veteran squad, to allow themselves to be pretty neck and neck in gold. As I say that, though, Jackie Love gets chunked pretty low, and even without grubs, LGD will silence the mid-tier 1 turret, which is really powerful into opening up the rest of the map for them when we talk about playing for Otacon, playing for later Drakes, and of course, the big bad Baron coming at 25 minutes.
It just makes it so easy for both of these teams who do have pretty decent wave clear, especially with an Orianna later into the game. Just being able to push the wave. I think for LGD, the fact that they've kept their mid-tier one is going to help them a lot with being able to move waves, push waves, then move out into side lane and move into some of these other objectives, like you were saying. 1:40, and I think the more interesting thing about Otacon, aside from it just being such a powerful buff, is where it spawned this game. It's in top lane, it's away from this dragon, and neither team is really close to a, potentially a soul. So I think if LGD want, they can trade for the dragon. I think getting a Chemtech soul this game is insane. It's tenacity, it's shield power, especially for some of these champions who already have shields innately to their kit. There might be arguments to be made here that a Chemtech soul is pretty damn OP. And I mean, look, you're getting the 50% armor when you're below 50% HP. The amount of damage reduction and amp that you get, I think is very potent. So I would not be surprised to see LGD want to look for a trade on this.
At the very least as well, Chemtech is buffed on our current patch, so has received some serious height bonuses that Alk eloquently pointed out here. Shelly makes her appearance on Summoner's Rift, cracking turrets. Not going to crack through the tier 1 for LGD, but some solid damage down. Looks like Sasu was playing with a potential flank, but doesn't really end up manifesting, and everybody's going to try and take a reset on LGD here before this dragon spawns. They got about 30 seconds, but not going to have really any control of mid-wave or that bottom river by doing so.
Yeah, and now if 4 Grubs TS just take this mid-wave, cool, you teleport in. They can actually just make a play on whoever teleports here. Ash ultimate goes in.
They've got XQW teleporting off to the side. Turret is going to drop. Sasu's going to fly in, but his health bar is far too low. Kanavi pops the Ragnarok. Good handshake from Chris. Is going to set up the shockwave for Cream. Down goes the front line of LGD, but it's Top Esports that is in on the back foot right now, blowing a lot of their key ultimates. Climber poking and prodding, looking for a way in, but it's just so hard, especially when the shock blasts rain through from 369. The Top Esports are going to escape with their pick play completed.
Maybe they can make a run for this top lane play. I was saying without the fact that XQW was kind of low thanks to some of the poke and the damage that he took, they wouldn't be able to make this, but they're just too late now. They're too busy kind of pushing out this mid wave. They're feigning access towards top lane, mostly to just probably clear this, clear most of these waves, especially that top lane wave. Right in the teleport out from Cream. Jackie Love walks in blind.
Flashes after Jackie Love, gets it done with the Sand Soldiers. That's why if you play AD carry, you're never face checking brushes, folks.
Sorry, buddy. Even with the Sentinels, it's just not something you're allowed to do. And Cream doesn't have the ultimate. How much can LGD get off of this? Even with the amount of damage, even with Jackie Love down, I think that this is going to be a rough play. TES, they have the Ragnarok coming up. You have 5 seconds off of Cream's ultimate. They need to be able to snap turn off of this, and we'll see what ultimates are available.
Cream up, Ragnarok available, hostile takeover as well with the Fates call. Top Esports, if they want in, they can force their way through, but it's Sasu that's trying to delay them and just annihilates
Kanavi's down.
Can even click R. Shockwave comes through, but just a little too late and without enough damage. And Xiaoya is stepping up, trying to push the rest of Top Esports off. And it's nice when you have that revive buff to allow for them to play even more aggressive. Otacon into the hands of LGD.
2 minutes now. I want to see what LGD are able to accomplish. Cream? Okay. For LGD, man, you need to be able to make something of this buff, because now we're walking in. There's no timers you're going to be able to play for. Dragon and Baron are both 3.5 minutes from now, and this whole play starts with Jackie Love just stepping too far into the wave. He's like, okay, maybe I can just walk in blind. He thought maybe XQW would be in a different spot because of how much HP, but thanks to the Chemtech plants, those Chem plants are just giving a lot of extra resources. I think that this Sin Sao pick is adding so much value during all of this. The fact that anytime Cream wants to be able to kind of deal with Sin Sao, oh, we're out of live. And Kanavi, can he make the turn?
Climber, we're throwing hands here.
He has to
Kanavi,
flash.
once again, he's holding Ragnarok for so long. He's going to have to flash over the wall. That last play, he gets tagged by the Encore there, Alk. The Ragnarok discipline, a little bit off for Kanavi in these last couple fights, I feel.
I think that the Ragnarok not using there not going to really change all that much, and most of what we're talking about now is the side lanes, right? Like, how much can they actually leverage the grubs and how strong this Jace is going to be? It's funny because we look at this Jace, 0 and 3, Muramana completed. Oh, they make the play into mid. Wait, they're still out of cons.
XQW! Where did he fly in? Was that a trap door or something? He finds Jackie and Cream with one Emperor's Divide, turns the Sand Soldiers, gets Chris down before his revive comes across. Kanavi throwing hands, 1v1 with his jungler. Climber with a good flash, back towards his support. Ragnarok runs out, and YCX says, come hither, down to the gray screen. LGD came to play in game 1.
And even during all of that, look at how the map has just completely been torn apart here. 369 got another turret in the bottom lane. Sasa was pushing on this top tier 1. Can 369 escape? He's got not a lot of mana. And yeah, it looks like LGD are going to collapse.
Climber, all 3 of these members of LGD, they have a revive, so they don't even give over a full kill to 369, who tries desperately to find at least one, but it's Xiaoya finds his 5th kill of the game. Look at the 2 damage dealers for LGD's scorelines right now. Buffed up exactly how they need to be.
Xiaoya was able to walk forward with the Otacon buff. He gets damage down onto the carries of TES, and even we got to see that from XQW. He flies in from the wings from the Wolf Pit and is able to make that play happen. As we get a look at this replay, flashing now here for Cream. He won't have that for the next Dragon or the Baron attempt, and now you definitely won't have it to avoid this Azir shuffle that's coming behind you. I love the execution we're getting from LGD, and it just seems like TS, they're split. Kanavi's in the back line. 369 is nowhere able to be near this play. He doesn't have teleport, so we're losing summoner spells, we're losing fights now, and this is a TS that we're expecting to win this series, while LGD, LDL champions, and LDL hopefuls are making them look silly. It's 13-3, and it's only a 3,000 gold lead for them.
What a start for LGD. And like we talked about with this draft, you know, I felt there were some damage concerns reliable going throughout the rest of this game, but definitely answer when you've got your Ashe already at Infinity Edge, 2 items with Infinity Edge done, and XQW also in such a good spot here. Those 2 together can push out a lot of damage that does sort of start to outscale what Top Esports will be pushing through on the top end, as this game is already at 25 minutes.
They have the longer ability to do deal damage at range thanks to the Azir and Ashe, and TS are all about kind of like a one knockout punch. You go for the all-in, you have Ragnarok to be able to run straight into the backline and take them down, but the longer it takes for the Kanavi to actually kill someone on LGD, the better it's going to be for this red side team, as now Sasa linking up for the rest of the team. They want to go for Baron. They recognize Dragon does not matter in this game, at least not at this moment. Climber!
That's a big blast cone to take. Kanavi forced to throw the Ragnarok down. Hostile Takeover does grab a couple key members there for Chris, but they get Kanavi down first. Climber does get out, but XQW gets quartered by 369. It's
Sasa, no!
He's swinging for Jackie Love, but he swings at absolute dirt. It's going to have to be the marksman. The range of the enchanters on the backside is Xiaoya and company. They find themselves Freaky Friday switched around in the jungle. 369, Crisp and company are just going to take their recalls, and somehow, after all the haymakers, we split 2 kills apiece.
But look at all of what was lost during that fight. For me, it's going to be no flash, still on Cream, and no longer on this bottom lane from TES. While on the opposite side, it's that Ashe now missing the flash. Sasa barely wasn't able to find that pick, but you're able to force out summoner spells and grab yourself a dragon on the bounce back here. I think it might be a little dangerous here. Yeah, Climber instead decides, look, we're losing push on mid. You do have this Jace that's coming straight out of base. TES bought themselves some time, and I know I was just talking about kind of bringing eyes towards the top of your screen, that 15-5, but I really want to look at what 369 has done for this game. I think he's kept TES relevant throughout this game, and without him, I think this goal to be a lot bigger in advantage for LGD. So we need to see this Jace really come on through and buy more of TES some time, because, I mean, maybe 3-item Callista is the way. You'll have a bunch of tank items. That's the most fraudulent stat line ever from 369 for his impact on this game. 0-4-2. But I'm with you. The Jace is so impactful. LGD, they're going for a Baron player. They get spotted by the Scryer's Orb. And they can just do this. Below. They're trying to rush it through with the Sand Soldiers. Ashe trying to step away with Xiaoya, looking for an Ashe Arrow combo. Does find it onto That's fine. Do the Baron.
But they're just stalling. Yeah, you called it out. All just burn through the Baron. They're not doing a great job on it, though. It's still dark in the pit, but you're losing your health bars. Climber's going to go in. He's going to drop the aggro. They get the Orgiana combo on the back. What happens? Kanavi, he stays up. It's Sasa to fly in to find the kill, but it's the Azir doing all the work for XQW. The kills drop. The Screaming Shuffle is beautiful from XQW. Baron secured in 4 kills. LGD just can't stop swinging.
LGD are going to end up on top this game. It's 19-7, and they win the Baron. Climber calls his shot. He says, I'm just going to do this, Baron. Let my team win the fight. And now they just completely rip apart TES, and they'll grab the dragon as well.
Holy cow. 5-1-9. XQW's Azir, not disappointing any regards. And look at that YCX stat line as well. This guy has 18 of 19 kill participation as we look back at this game-defining Baron fight.
They spent so much time on mid, and while that's fine for TES, I think you just have to be able to give up the Baron. They feel like they're confident. TES, I'm looking at Kanavi, man. He just takes too much damage. He wastes too much time on this Cassante. And I just want to look into this backline. This was a great combo from Cream and Kanavi, but they weren't able to turn it. Sasa buys time, and really my eyes here onto XQW. This Azir is just pumping out DPS, and he's going to be level 16 soon, so another point in that ultimate. LGD, the fights are not clean, but that doesn't matter at this point. You just need to get them done. They're finding Jackie Love and Cream before the rest of the fight.
I feel so blessed that we're going to get this Seraphine Masterclass off the bat here. Who would have expected two Enchanter supports matching up in this game one? And it's YCX really showing out with the Seraphine. Couple clutch encores and
Holy
the
crap.
shields he gets out. I mean, it goes under the radar how much space Seraphine's shielding and healing kit can buy in a team, like you mentioned, that's trying to avoid that one-punch blow in these team fights.
Seraphine's just adding so much value. I think it's if you were to make a swap, maybe Seraphine on the enemy team would do a lot more, but yeah, it feels bad because now TS, they can never split push all of the goodwill that Jace was able to buy. Wait a minute.
What are we doing, Climber? He just threw his enemy jungler into his team. The biggest blunder of this entire game comes from Climber. That is the most treacherous blast cone I have seen in the LPL this year. Immediately, that's TES, 3 kills. Sasa's under the tier 2 turret, make it a 4th. This game just got flipped on its head with 1 cone.
They just lost almost all of their Barons. XQW TP'd to the play and then said, oh crap, we're losing this. Never mind, I'm leaving. So all of that, TES just got so much off of that with one mistake from Climber. The guy that we had big eyes for. Look, maybe the light's a little too bright, but there's still a lot of series to play. A big mistake coming in from one of the hypest rookies coming into the LPL.
I'm already wincing. I'm waiting for this replay.
No, don't show the replay. LPL observers, no, don't do it. No,
oh,
no.
God. Let's hit it cinematic.
Is it a misclick? Is it a misclick? Okay, Q. Okay, auto attacks. He's just lost. Okay.
I
It's a misclick. It's a misclick. It's a misclick. It's a misclick. Maybe he doesn't know the angle, right? Maybe he doesn't know that Kanavi's going to land immediately into his backline, but it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter at that point. Your entire team's been gone. And I think big one for me is not only all those kills, the amount of time you now lose on the map because of it, but no TP now from XQW. So you're always going to have this Azir either on a side lane attending to these 4 grubs, Jace and Orianna, or you're just going to have to miss out on all of that golden experience. So a big speed bump here for LGD in this game. And you can see it reflected in the gold difference. It just completely collapses with 1 blast cone.
1 blast cone to decide the fate, potentially, of LGD in this game 1. We are back on even footing, and you could see some serious item thresh points coming through. You talked about the 3-item Callista. It's here for Jackie Love. Cream, probably the biggest winner of that mistake here, gets to that Rabadon's. This Orianna's maybe got enough damage for those shockwaves to really hurt. No bigger fight than this next one coming, potentially around a Baron or a Chemtech Drake, each spawning on the Rift at about the same point.
Yeah, I think bigger focus on the Baron with all of this vision from TES. They're going to want to move after this next mid wave, but it's pretty tough, right? It is just a Callista for the time being with her Orianna, but Ashe and Azir having that range makes it so much easier for LGD to just push out of mid, move into the side lane. And look at where Kanavi is recognizing he has a bit of time, stack some more waves on the bottom lane, and then move in closer towards this objective. Even take a recall if you really want it. Maybe even trying to finish his next item, which seems like he's pretty close to. Looks like he's going to be getting that Sterix gauge. If he can get this before the next fight, I think that TES might be in a position to be able to claw back into this game. Why are we going for this Ashe ultimate?
Okay.
Xiaoyu, what's the point here?
Hey, man, he's just getting them shots up, all right? He's been hitting them. So he does land one, but yeah, I'm with you. The Ash Arrow, we're not even level 6. We don't got a level 3 ultimate yet, so that's going to take a bit more time. Biggest win, though, there for LGD. They cleared out the 2 blast cones in the top side river before this Baron. Is that the most impactful play of this game? After what we've seen, you can't tell me I'm wrong.
We're playing for blast cones now. Maybe.
New tech.
Maybe that's what the designers were looking for when they made this. But TS, they get first access. They were first on the recall, so they'll move into river. They'll get the scuttle as well to be able to clear out any kind of vision around this pit. And for LGD, it is tough to walk into this team as TES. I mean, you have the Renata for setup. You have Oriana Ball that you're going to be walking into. The Poke from 369, who has opted for not the tank Jace build, but the Bruiser, the regular kind of Jace build that we've been knowing and love for a long time. LGD, they have no time to play on the side lane. They're going to summon the Azir turret and look to push heavily on mid to discourage TES from this Baron.
Which now arrives back into Summoner's Rift. Might be able to threaten this turret as well. Waves coming in, only 369 to answer. JackeyLove's taking a pretty late reset here.
Oh, they could just start the they could start the Baron. But they don't know where Kalista is. So if they're not able to grab that information, if he shows on this mid wave, LGD should just snap. Look for this. You have Azir and this Ashe, but she's dealing no damage to it.
Xiaoya is much more confident going for these arrows. Kanavi's just going to gobble that one up. Baron below 6,000 HP, but they've sectioned off Xiaoya on the side. 369. He's got good eats going for this 1v1. Shockwave's going to only find
XUW, no!
In the paint, but they've left Climber and Sasa. LGD split up far too much, and look what Top Esports is going to make it cost them. Absolutely everything. And Ace from the Ashes.
Cream?
What a swing in this game. Top Esports back on top.
They lose the Baron, but they might just have enough to end the game here. No, they've got too many winning. They don't have enough minions here. They don't have a teleport either. They have grubs. Maybe they're willing to sacrifice a lot of Kanavi's HP bar. Let's see if they can do the dash. I mean, 15 seconds before YCX. Maybe this is the game for LGD.
YCX up in 10 seconds. But the main carries are much further behind. They've got the grubs to help. On to the Nexus turrets. Everyone staring at those death timers, but it looks too little too late. And it's going to cement in one of the biggest throws of the LPL split. A Blasco might have just saved Top Esports from going down the series as they move to 1-0. Oh, man. We're going to be seeing that Blasco all week long. Oh,
I got Ashe ulted right in the head after that one, dog. There's no words for that. That's I mean, I have no excuses to make for LGD. I'm sure Climber is going to receive that during the review, and maybe you could attribute that to the freshness of some of these players, mid-game mistakes especially being something that is prone to a team that is from the LDL. They're not used to being pushed in the mid-game, but that was just so unfortunate. They had such a good gold lead coming in. I felt like they were snowballing their advantage. TES felt lost on the map. Cream in particular, Cream and JackeyLove both, I think, showing some of the concerns that we've had so far early on in this 2025, but they're just split. Not only after the blast code, because like that mistake happens, you can recover off of that, but in every single fight, Xiaoya is like at least a screen and a half away from his team, and you cannot be that split up. Yeah, that guy does not want to be on the Baron. He needs to be closer to his team, and 369 and the rest of TES, they make good on that. Dude, it's a heartbreaker. I wanted to see LGDs do so well.
I needed that. I'm the 3-2 guy on the desk over here. We got to get those wins early, but now we're gonna have to relive it to see exactly. I'm sure we're gonna get the replay. It just stinks. I mean, it's the mark of a young team. There is no better example in 2025 of what happens to young squads in the big stage than what we just saw from LGD.
If they could just take that back, if they could just take back, I really do think that even in that last fight, they just make too many mistakes, right? Like XQW flies in, but there's really no one there that he's able to deal damage to. Xiaoya was trying to 1v1 369, but this guy has way too much HP. He had the upgraded boots as well, so he takes no damage from this Ashe. It feels bad, but those were some of the mistakes we've seen from LGD in series past. So I don't know if this is necessarily, I think a lot of people, probably reasonable to think of, is like you're looking at that blast cone. Definitely starts to snowball in favor of TES, but TES still showed that they were kind of weak in some of those team fights. I still think that some of the cleanliness of their fights were not perfect, and if that maybe this is just the start to a gentleman's sweep, right? It's just TES, they get back into that game 1, and we get 3 from here. I want to see LGD do it, man. It would be so exciting.
It's gonna sting if this is a sweep now. This is a great test, though. I mean, silver lining comes out here for LGD. It's a coaching moment, and coaching moments are 3 times more valuable for a team as new to the LPL as this squad. Running through the highlights, though, we're gonna have to live through this one again, and some of these fights we're gonna see earlier on here. I mean, even this first grub fight, it just feels like a completely different game from the way we ended.
Yeah, this is just a completely different. This feels like a different patch at this point. We're watching old footage, watching it from we're watching from the actual game 1 of this series. And for 369, and I think for all of TES, I think that there were some bright moments. The team fights were not all there for them, but I think that the ability for them to play from side lanes was something that they learned from last year especially. And 369 showing some prowess of being able to play for the cross map, being able to play for structures. So as long as they're able to kind of, I think, nickel and dime this this LGD team, there is still a lot of game to be played here in this series, and we've already seen LGD's team fighting at least being able to go blow for blow with TES.
And looking back at some of these champions we had in this game, when we kind of talked about from the draft here, Alk, but for what the standard, power pick champions of the LPL are, we had so many of those high-profile champs in this game 1, right? Like we're now going to be off the board with no Ashe. There's going to be no Callista Ashe. Neither of those. You're not going to have a Cassante in the game. Jace isn't going to be a part of this game. Like, there's a lot of huge picks already taken away in one game from Fearless that I think is going to have pretty big impacts with how we talked about champion prioritization, especially between these two squads.
And think about the unique champions that were also chosen here as well. Typically, Callista, I would say, is a champion that we don't get to see very often because of how often it's banned. And you even look at the supports. We have Renata and we have the Seraphine gone, so still all of the engaged supports open for the rest of the series. And I think this Olaf pick, win or lose, provided a lot of value because now you got rid of the Xin Zhao, but you still have things like the Nocturne, the Vi, the Wukong that are all up and ready to go for the rest of the series.
Speaking of this game, though, not the whole series, Alk, where's your head at here for MVP pick? Because I think this might be one of the hardest of the split to choose. I think a lot of the voters were already thinking about who they were going to choose on LGD's side before everything went sideways.
Me? That was me. I think 369 deserves it, bro. He made some errors, but I think that most of them were unforced or forced errors from LGD, and he just was like, hey, look, I'm willing to trade my life to get us a turret, to get us some side lane pressure, and at least keep us relevant in the game. That game is a lot harder to play if Jace is also behind the curve and a little bit with less gold in his pocket.
So the question is, was this a 369 level 6 performance that was good enough, or I don't think it was a full 9 from him, the old.
I don't think this was a full 9. This felt like a 6. This was a bit, above average from what we were, looking from top laners, but I think he got a lot of work done, and I could be convinced on a sneaky 9. Not like a mechanical, I'm outplaying you, but I think the way that he played the map felt more like a 9, in my opinion.
Sounds like we're getting Anthony Fantano up in here. Soft 9,
It's a soft 9 for my boy.
Hard 8 to a soft 9, yeah. Hard 8 to a soft 9. We'll see, though. I'm with you. Should be our MVP pick here for one of these staple top laners the LPL is known for so long. And we get it to Cream, actually. I don't know about this. This is fraudulent. This is fraud. Fraud alert.
I saw those team fights. I saw that flash at the end of the game after they ended. He flashes to try to kill the minion wave, which I guess in retrospect gets them to actually close out the game here. But nope. We can go ahead and we can start doing our coffee read, guy. There's just nope. I'm not doing this.
Let's go back to get this fraud highlight reel off my screen. Well, Cream still grabs it, so hey, that solo kill was nice. I will say this fight though, that was the shockwave that you needed, but keep in mind, all Cream's doing here is hitting arm at the right time.
I've got nothing else to add, dude. Cream did not play this game to earn an MVP. So maybe a KEKW vote. I don't know who did it. I don't know who on the broadcast did this, but we will not have words with the LPL broadcast.
We will not indeed. But speaking of our broadcast here, the unofficial LPL English broadcast. Alk alluded to it a little bit, but, you know, we are so grateful that to all of our, supporters, whether you're talking about the coffee supporters, our YouTube subscribers as well. They all help us level up the show you see in front of us. A lot of the initial payments go into upgrading this very broadcast you see tonight, but a huge bulk of it goes to paying on-air talent like myself and Alk, and content creators behind the scenes like, for say Patty, that's doing the awesome interviews. Subscribe to our coffee linked in the chat to unlock perks like early access to content, like we're talking about those interviews. And speaking of the interviews, you could get the amazing ability to potentially ask interview questions for our creators to make those interviews even more unique. So getting perks you can't find anywhere else, folks. Big thank you and shout out to all of our coffee health subscribers. We've already gotten here, Alk.
Yes, exciting to see them kind of come on through, and hopefully they can stick with us, as we've got a lot of best of 5 still here to play. We're going to kick it to a short break, and when we're back, we'll be here with Game 2 between TES and LGD.
hopping our way back onto the broadcast, much like Top Esports hopped their way into a Game 1 win off of Blast Code. We are setting up for Game 2 after a disastrous fall for LGD. But at least they'll now have side selection as we get prepped for our Game 2 draft off. There's that going for them.
Yeah, look, they get access to blue side.
Yep.
Unfortunately for them, blue side is pretty low in the win rate, but I'm going to just say this right now. Blue side win rate and side selection win rate is kind of fraudulent. It always has been. Mostly it's indicative of how strong a certain side is, especially on patches. I would say that red side is at a bit of a disadvantage because of the fact that they have 3 champions that they have to ban almost every single game, but we saw that already break. Kalista's already gone. And most of the teams that end up winning the series have to do it on red side. So that's probably why red side has a 60% win rate here in the LPL.
That's a good point, nonetheless. But, you know, even with the Blast Code shenanigans, I think we saw some really good strengths from Top Esports in that win. Before everything started breaking down, you know, they were down like nearly double-digit kills, but still able to play the map so well. And their macro was looking really polished for me, splitting the map up. And I'm curious to see if they'll start leaning into that once again in their draft, maybe get 369 on another, you know, split lane carry. Definitely in the cards knowing he's champ pool.
Yeah, but what champions is he going to be really able to do it on? Because this year, at least early on, he's picked the Renekton. He's had the Orin games that we saw in their series versus anyone's legend. But stuff like Urgot, not really a big split pusher. He's usually a player that likes to have some resources on a side lane, but can be, I think, more impactful in team fights. And like you were saying, I think the macro for TES has actually been kind of solid this year, especially with someone like Kanavi being able to be really creative in the jungle. It's all about whether or not the team fights really go their way as we get straight into draft for Game 2.
Skarner, always the first ban from red side. We'll see if the Ambessa continues to be targeted by Top Esports, no matter what side they're on. Not really a big fan of playing that one, as the Nocturne sinks home the next one. Curious to see how much more we lean into pinching this jungle pool, because LGD have now made it a point to either take away the Vi or the Nocturne in the first turn up against Kanavi.
I wonder if they're just going to go ahead and ban just keep the Vi open for their first pick. We put a lot of kind of onus on our junglers here in this matchup, and I think taking away Vi from a player like Kanavi, who is so creative in not only how he plays the map, but how he starts fights, LGD instead go for the Ambessa, so still opening themselves up, can also lean towards some of those 80 carries. We've seen Xayah and YCX have really big impact so far in this series, only one game deep.
Yeah, YCX got to go into his Enchanter bag early, but definitely made his name on picks like the Rel and the Nautilus. We'll see if LGD want to commit to a pick like that early. Am intrigued by the Ambessa ban from LGD, but still off the board. Where does this B1 go? A lot of those powerful B1 picks are off the board, like we talked about the Ashe Kalista, the Cassante, a Yone blind, while flexible, still would be a pretty aggressive call in my mind.
Yeah, for XQW, I think it just opens them up to be a big playmaker. We saw in parts of that first game where XQW was making Azir shuffles to win them the game. It was looking really, really good, and I think, hey, the Yone is a perfectly fine answer, especially because we have been able to see it so far earlier on in the year. I wonder if TES here now, are they going to try to take away the Sejuani? That has been a very, very potent pairing, and wonder where they're where their head's at on the draft.
Aurora was taken away in the second phase up against Top Esports last time around. Is a very good pairing with the Nocturne, so it still works self-sufficiently. Is also kind of flexible. Don't think we've seen a lot. We haven't seen it from 369, but you definitely can throw either Aurora or Yone top and mid lane, depending on how the comp comes together. But I'm with you all. Don't want to leave that Sejuani up. I think it's such a powerful pairing with the Yone in general. But we already know where that Aurora is going with the 369 Gnar locked in. And there's the Sejuani.
Okay, so now you need to play sort of a strong side top laner. I think Jax is perfectly fine. It does mean that your range is pretty limited. And it means that on the bounce back, on the 4-5 here, TES, they have a couple of options when we talk about their third pick. They can go for a jungle here, you know, just to try to match their opponents, or snap up an 80 carry of their choosing. Varus is very, very good right now, and the fact that you can either go for the poke build or for the on-hit build, the on-hit build will give him more DPS and a little bit more sustainability, as typically you're getting stuff like Terminus, Wit's End, Jock Show, these kinds of things.
There we go.
Okay.
The Kanavi special gets his Vi, locks that one in. Now I think the fate of that Varus has been sealed. I'll expect that one to be banned away from LGD. Going to just be pretty bottom lane focused with all of these bans as the Xiaoya Ziggs gets its love. We saw a pretty amazing, near perfect, I believe, Gala Ziggs yesterday in those IG wins.
Yeah. So, couple of things I want to note here. One, for both of these AD carries, we're obviously kind of looking at Varus as a potential. AP damage is going to be at a premium here for LGD, so any mages that they have access to are definitely going to be a little bit more important. Maybe we get the legendary, the purported Syndra that has been avoiding bot lane for so long. But I think for me, what I'd like to see from TES is actually go for a support blind on 4 and then look to pick up Jackie Love's champion on 5, because Jackie Love has been someone who really likes to be very dominant in lane and can be a great team fighter, and I think opening up a potential Draven angle this game could be very, very profitable.
Draven angle, that would be...
We got 2 Draven players here. Xiaoya's also been playing the champion a bit. It's one of his most played in his career.
Great call out. I still think if Varus goes unbanned, it would be so good on.
All right, so what happens? What happens when Varus is banned? What happens when Varus is banned? What else do we pick?
Draven.
No! Blind support here, please, TES! Give me some blind support. Anything versus a melee champion. Honestly, Braum versus what LGD have is not bad. Leona is fine. Rakan is very flexible in what he's able to do. Now, LGD, are you going to be taking away the Xayah pair? That seems like that has been kind of the answer for most of LPL.
Xiaoya going to pick up the Xayah. I like having the Feather Storm into that pretty, consistent combo of the Vi and the Aurora coming over top. Get away from those charms, maybe delay the cease and desist some. Can buy you some pretty pivotal space if Xiaoya wants it, and he will lock it in.
I also just think it makes it very difficult for Vi now. Like, who is Vi targeting? Vi can go for Jax, but I think if he's able to get the Counter-Strike down, a lot of the damage from TS is going to be mitigated. Yone as well could try to interrupt it using his E. So many options here. LGD probably looking for an engaged support. Again, Braum, Leona, all these things are up. Alistar even works. We're getting more enchanters. Okay, so there was a big gauntlet thrown at the very beginning of the season as we wait for what Jackie Love's going to be picking, the Ezreal. So notoriously very difficult to get on top of, but I think a lot of CC, and I think this Lulu gets so much value this game. YCX really flexing the enchanters versus the engage pool.
Yeah, really getting in the bag. Unfortunately for YCX, after this game, I think you lose all your really valuable enchanters for the meta, with Renata and Seraphine already going in the Lulu, but provides a ton of value. I think Jackie Love, though, is in a spot to really cook if he can get ahead on this Ezreal. As an Ezreal OTP myself, I get to do my little speech, but the main point here, Alk, is that the range is still pretty low. I know you can have the Yone can be an issue to get to the backline, the Jack's coming across, but the fact that Jackie Love, if he can start getting spells chained, he can really create a lot of space and be a pretty big disruptor just front to backing through a comp that doesn't have a way to deal with him.
LGD are very short range, so when their ability to actually turn fights is going to be predicated on them actually landing abilities. And when you look at TS, they have so much mobility. They have the kind of ease of being able to dip in and out of fights with, the Aurora W and all of the different mobility spells from almost all of their champions. And their team fighting is still very, very potent. So we need to be able to see them set up around objectives, especially see how Chris plays his Rakan, which is one of his most popular champions to play in his career. He's one of the best Rakans being able to play, and I think it leans a little bit more on his strengths of being able to find creative engagements and also kind of toe the line as the one of the go buttons for this team.
In and out, looking to be the job constantly on this Rakan for Chris nonetheless. Big test here for LGD, though. It's always tough for young teams to bounce back from tough losses, even with the stakes that we have here off of that blast cone. Let's see how the young guns look. If they can have that goldfish memory as they need to find this win if they want their series and playoff hopes to be alive up against Top Esports.
Get some Chayos for our crews. Yeah, like you were saying, LGD, though, need to be able to bounce back. Look, games like that happen. Usually, that happens in the first 15 minutes. You're able to remake, but in a late game situation like that, sure, it's fine. I want to see what Cream is able to do. Aurora was one of the champions that he was able to have a bit of influence on in previous series, and we are on 2.3 on 1.3, so oh no, we're on 1.2, aren't we still?
I think so.
No life patch, no electrocute changes. Never mind, I'm getting debated. But they'll see Sasa on the lane swap as well.
That means I got debated on the Chemtech changes too. So
Yep,
Chemtech isn't as powerful as before. We're doing a little dancey dance, looking like a middle school function right now with everybody just huddled on their own side, scared to make the first move. It's just going to be a couple of exchanges. Jungle start is marked though there from Kanavi as everybody does return to their lanes. It isn't fully standard, but hey, we still get bottom lane versus bottom lane, top lane versus top lane.
Wait a minute. No, Xiaoya, YCX, no! You shouldn't have hit the minion wave! Oh, they could have denied Crisp and Jackie Love level 2, and you are already going to have push just by playing Xayah and Lulu. You're playing double ranged. Also, you have the ability to kind of naturally push the wave as you're playing Xayah, so bit of a mistake there. We'll see if that's actually able to come back. I think that the 2v2 engaged amount of damage that Jackie Love and Crisp will have will be a bit more surprising, and actually, we kind of missed where it happened. Must have happened around the Raptor pit, but Xiaoya doesn't have barrier already.
Oh, yeah.
That happened during that level 1. That must have just happened during there, so that's a big win for TES.
Especially helps that Cream's able to get a shove going in this middle lane. Kanavi pathing down, potentially towards Sasa with his push going. Both junglers going to make their way down. Kanavi gets a lot of extra space bought by Cream here. Actually going to see if he can go for an invade. The timing on here could be a bit awkward with Climber rocking up.
Cream can move over. Climber's going to come into this, but already half HP. Got a lot of damage from this Vi, and XQW is almost dead here. This is basically unplayable.
Yep, there he's going to have to surrender so many of these camps. I mean, nobody can really come and help him. That was, man, Climber in these blast cones, man. He just hit that one and go straight up, and oh boy, now Kanavi's still on the hunt here. Vault Breaker going to land through.
That's a kill.
Couple more autos. The PM flash. Climber, no.
And maybe it just goes from bad to worse here. 369, maybe he gets the solo kill here. 369 does have the flash. Leap strike.
Up. W. There we go. All right, Sasa gets his 1v1 win against 369. That alleviates some pressure from whatever we just saw.
Yeah, feels bad for Climber to lose out on that, but thankfully for LGD, the top laner here, able to make do with some top lane bouts, and the wave is bouncing towards him as we get a replay of this. It just feels bad. Climber, you just can't be here on this side of the map. You know that Kanavi's going to be here. Your mid waves aren't going to be able to move, and Sasa's not going to be able to do anything either. Let's see what happened here. Is it literally just, okay, cool, yeah, 369 got outplayed by
Counter-Strike did.
Fully stacked up Counter-Strike. Yep, happens. Maybe he just didn't have the hop. That's probably why we didn't see it here from 369. I'm gonna hope that one of the top lane greats of LPL just didn't decide to press E. We're gonna just assume that the cooldown was not there, and 369 able to get taken down.
Yeah, he probably felt so comfortable. He's like, who would fight me in this stacked of a wave? Kind of forgot about Jax's one game-breaking ability.
Turns out he's pretty OP. We'll see what happens. I expect more from 369. We saw more in that last game especially, and going against Sasa, we talked about the kind of parallels between these two, and for Sasa especially, I think it would be such an important series for him and for the rest of LGD if they were able to not only beat up on a TES who aren't at full form, but also qualify for playoffs. This is our last day of groups, and this is the last game for a final spot in our top 8 of playoffs.
XQW going to teleport back here into lane. Despite all the harass he's gone through, Cream getting some serious combos down. Actually staying pretty convincingly close with these CS numbers. Kanavi trying to help out the one lane, seems to be suffering so far with Sasua down. No flash available. Going to hold the counter strike. Vault Breaker will land, but he uses the stun to create some more space here. 369 stepping up in that mini Mega Gnar form, but no kill, just some pressure.
And look at where we're being applied to right now. YCX already sitting in mid, trying to help XGW get push in mid lane. And Climber will get spotted on this ward, but, I mean, that vision cone doesn't see very much. You see Kanavi here mid. Crisp, I think, gets spotted as well. We're getting a 3v3 in mid at 6 minutes already. They want to take control so they can play for either objective on any side lane.
Always a fan when you leave the Ezreal to his own devices. One of the safest solo lane 80 carries between worlds. Thrown down from Cream. First ultimate available. No real follow-up damage, though, and LGD are able to get back to their turret before Chris can find an angle in with the Grand Entrance.
That's a big win, I think, for LGD. No ultimate now for this Aurora, and pretty low mana, so we'll probably only get one rotation of spells before they go down. XQW also has the ultimate. Sasa has moved. 369 has no teleport and is nowhere near Mega, so LGD should be able to grab these grubs.
We're gonna jump on top of them. Kanavi not willing to step up. Jackie Love just priming with some Mystic shots, and they're going to work their way through these grubs, find themselves the first monster slaying feat of the game here.
Okay, nice. I mean, that's good.
All right.
You take those as LGD. Great job of being able to survive in mid, and Cream maybe over-expecting how much damage the rest of him and his team would be able to do. So, turns into some early grubs here, which would be nice. Remember, talking about their side lanes here, Yone and Jax, potent side laners by themselves, and especially in a long lane versus something like an Aurora or even this Gnar, I think XQW and Sasa could get a lot done if this game is able to go late and they start to get more grubs under their back pocket.
We saw it last game. It's what kept Top Esports in the running. 369 able to really stretch the map with his advantages. Sasa maybe looking to play that same role on the flip side here. Able to take a top lane plate with ease. We'll see where these junglers want to divide their attention, though, too. Both clearing their top sides up, and that Cloud Dragon is sitting and waiting, so lonely. Or Hextech Drake, excuse me.
I mean, Kanavi could look towards top side. He has level 6. You know that this Jax should have his flash coming back up, but I think would relieve a lot of pressure here for 369. And look what's happening in the bottom side. LGD, their bottom lane's trying to push up. 369, can he find it with Kanavi?
He's got Mega coming up. This time going to flash over the flash from Sasso to get the slam into the wall. Does go down to about 1 HP before the cease and desist gets the kill. 369 as Paul is just ever on his staple Gnar to find that solo kill, or kill for LTS.
Climber is just nowhere in the area. He finally gets the tri-brush, but his top laner's already fallen. They haven't started the dragon either, so 369 will get alone time on this turret. He'll trade the turret plate that Sasa was able to grab there, as well as that kill, and the flash has got to be feeling so nice for TES, as being able to grab that away from the Jax. Maybe XQW gets some damage onto Cream. He finds another Q3 plus ult.
Right.
Fade Unseal just to get out.
Low mana there from Cream, though. I wonder if he would be able to turn that with the ult taking all of his resources out there. Word on this Drake pit, so TES are aware that Climber and company are taking this dragon. The True Shot Barrage is going to hit a lot of people. XQW gets canceled out of his recall, but don't think TES can really stop this Drake take with Kanavi just now arriving to the scene, and the first two neutrals go LGD's way.
Prepping, I think, mostly for the next grub fight, willing to give over this early dragon, as a minute and a half's time, Cream's ultimate's going to be back up, and you're going to have a better lane state in the mid lane for you to be able to actually play off of this. So now TS find themselves with a small advantage. A lot of it is coming from Kanavi in particular here, so we need to see what the kind of starred general of TES is able to accomplish on this Vi. Has ultimate coming up in the next 30 to 45 seconds. I'm expecting for them to maybe look for a play around one of these lanes in mid or bottom lane, as kind of getting some setup. A big one for me now is going to be Crisp now taking over to level 6. Him and Kanavi should be roaming around the map and looking to force out summoner spells or grab kills.
Yeah, we're really waiting for some integral draft duos to start getting together and pushing out their agenda. You mentioned, I like it, the Crisp and Kanavi call, but Climber and XQW, right? The Sejuani and Yone is the real go button here for LGD. Haven't seen those two really link up yet, and you really feel the pains of how rough Climber's start was to this game, maybe slowing LGD down outside of everything but those neutrals we talked about.
Ooh, and this is going to be a big win. How fast can XQW actually clear this bottom side map? Because he should be able to, whenever he wants, really teleport for a play near grubs. We're getting completed items for both of our junglers here. It was a Sundered Sky done for Kanavi and for Climber, already finishing off the Zeeks. XQW, though, It's probably going to have to just commit the teleport to bottom lane, yeah.
Fate Unsealed, not going to be able to find any further push, and that Between Worlds threat from Cream is very potent as that ultimate ticks back over to available. It'll allow Cream to reset pretty cleanly as well, seeing the teleport come through. So wonder if he just makes his way up towards the top side here, and yeah, he will.
Yep. Okay. As long as Kanavi just steals one of them, then we don't even have to worry about this camp as a feat of strength. They're going to be able to take at least one. Climbers are getting away from the objective, so they didn't even want to play for this. It seems instead they want to see if they can maybe find Cream under this turret, although the wave's going to be gone by the time Sejuani gets here. So I think really Climber's a bit lost on the map right now. He doesn't have very many camps to do. He's going to try and get some vision on the bottom side of the map, but that announcement is going to show that Kanavi was there. He's just kind of been idling, shifting between top and bottom jungle, but not really able to get all that much done. LGD, the high-level prospects who we were looking for in Climber. A couple mistakes in Game 1, potentially a pretty game-deciding one, and now here in Game 2, a little listless.
I also think, you mentioned the target selection issues for this Vi on the top esports side. I think it is kind of hard for Climber, especially early, to find avenues on this Sejuani. Ezreal, especially with both summoners up, cleanse available, really hard to lock down. Same can be said for that Aurora. I do see that we lost. Well, I think that's actually the bug.
Yeah, it's a bug. I don't know what's going on. I've been noticing this for the past couple of weeks. Yeah, I want to see XQW and Climber actually get stuff done. Like, even if you're just forcing the flash. Oh, YCX might be dead. There we go. They force his flash. They'll see Kanavi here, but you're Sejuani. Like, yeah, Cream has some hops from the W, but you should just be forcing her flash on cooldown when you have Sejuani ult. And you do not want to be giving time over to TES to be able to get items, specifically for Jackie Love to be stacking up into Trinity Force and the Muramana. If you get to that 2-item wake-up pretty early, then I think LGD are going to have a bit of a problem, especially when you're looking at a team that is trying to really come online with Trinity Forces and Borks to finish for their solo lanes.
XQW doesn't know what's waiting for him. Chris, he pops the ult early. You can see if he can outlast it. Chris maybe a little bit early with that one. Does flash and Fate Unsealed out. So a bit too quick on the ultimate call there for Chris.
Land?
But Jackie
Love, never mind.
Will he find his mark? Nope. Gonna go wide there. So XQW survives near death.
Just a beautiful job from him to be able to survive that. Gets the ultimate as well, and now that's not going to be three ultimates from TES no longer available for this upcoming Dragon fight. In trade for a single one and the flash, which honestly, you'll think you'll take that. Just noticing now, YCX also used the heal to be able to help XQW survive. So, Sasa, you got to be careful. This is the one-timer here. Your team is resetting. You're the only play on the map now.
He already died to this gank earlier, commits the flash, sees an assist to follow. 369 going to tick over to the Gnar bar. Look for the stuns, doesn't get the W, might not even need the ult, but does it for extra measure. And Feats of Warfare secure with top esports the same way they found their second kill. 369 and Kanavi back at it.
Teleport's coming in. They want to make a play on the bottom side here for LGD. Turret plate's falling. More importantly here, I think 369 can potentially take most of this turret, if not the entirety of it. That might just be Feats there. Even Crisp is here, so with 3 grubs, it'll be great for LGD to be able to pick up an Epic Monster, but they just lose it straight up. So again, 14.5 minutes here. TS will be getting upgraded boots for themselves, while LGD just trade for a second Dragon.
This is the big focal point that we saw from Game 1. The mid-game macro decision-making from top esports was really what kept them in despite such stark team fight difference. And in a game that's much closer out of the early game, with them actually leading, it's just even more pressure on this LGD squad. Especially, have we seen Climber even find an angle to click R yet? I don't think we've seen him cast Glacial Prison.
No. Yeah, he's saving it. But look, maybe the first one we see is one of the best to ever done it, right? So we'll give him some grace there, but really wanted to see some early action. And while all this is happening, Kanavi is getting sneaky with it, man. He's been making sure that he's getting camps. He's stealing away camps from the Sejuani, so he's going to explode to an even larger lead. I mean, now with Climber finishing these grubs, Kanavi's a full level over him. He could even start to be an entire full level over him as well.
Oh, there we go. Unsealed, Glacial Prison, right on cue. That's the combo we've been waiting for. Maybe a bit late, but still looks as clean as we expected.
There we go. That's what we wanted to see. This could have been happening like 4 or 5 minutes earlier, but look, we'll take it. LGD, it buys them some time and even forces the teleport out from 369, so Sasa gets a reprieve in the top lane. He'll be able to pick up this wave without any pressure of a Gnar being in his face. Not much damage has been done to the mid structures either, now with them being able to grab that mid tier 1. Cancel doesn't work like that, Crisp. I'm sorry. He got the iframes right as he left. So now they're setting up for the Herald here. LGD, I think, in a really strong spot if they're able to continue this play. 369, after this wave, is he going to commit for the full turret? He's not going to be able to teleport for this, so yeah, why not?
Yep. Just knock down more of those structures. It's the one thing he did so well. One of the many things, excuse me, he did so well in Game 3 was every time Top Esports were suffering difficult fight losses, he was finding those outside turrets to boost their gold back up. But we might see XQW get his revenge from Cream here. Tons of damage from that Roar. Flash Vault Breaker for Kanavi. He wants this kill. He's got that instinct in him on his Vi. And this teleport comes through whether you like it or not, Sasa. But he has Climber to back up this time round. Kanavi trying to hop out. Flash forward for Climber to secure the knockup into the stun combination. But it's Chris to save him with the quickness and knockup. Kanavi survives. And the turn comes out. Sasa gets cornered in the alcove. Cream tries to see if he gets the damage out. Good dodges at first. But the turn completed. Kanavi survives, and it's not just Sasa that's going down. It's even more. It's Christmas now for TES Esports as they find all the presents under the tree to the tune of 3 kills.
LGD, it's a Pyrrhic victory. They'll grab a mid lane tier 1, but no ult from XQW means that now they have to invest the teleports from their solo lanes, the flash out from both Climber. I mean, like, it just feels bad. They'll even lose the Rift Herald on top of that. Maybe even a top tier 2 as we see Crisp and 369 hitting on this turret. A great collapse from TES. Explodes the gold lead in their favor.
They even answered the tier 2 turrets. They grabbed that top side one, and Kanavi is just running this game. Already got the Black Cleaver done. Yeah. Awesome to see when guys are performing on their legendary champions that we know them so well for, as we look back at Kanavi just making XQW's life hell.
There you go. He has no ult, has no flash, might as well. And while Climber and them do make it, I want to say that this is incredibly close. I already had called out during the play. We saw Crisp on the flank, and it is with minor moments before Kanavi falls. If that goes down, I don't even think it matters all that much because they still are going to be able to find the damage onto Sasa, but the complete collapse from TES, I will say LGD get a lot for that off of the map, and really what's going to be in trade for it for TES is what they're going to be able to do with this Rift Herald. Dragon spawning in 40 seconds. They can maybe even play for the bottom side Otacon that is there. That'll be spawning 40 seconds after the Dragon. I think that we're looking at it. LGD, in that moment, we're able to take a lot of the structures off of the map from TES.
And that just creates more space for them to play for these Dragons. Remember, they got the opening 2 Drakes. We talked about their neutral dominance off rip. If you get a Mountain Soul on a comp that's low range looking to brawl, could be the X factor despite the gold lead starting to balloon here for Top Esports. And, whoa, was that? Okay, I thought that was that looked. I thought I saw Fate Unsealed there from XQW as he went back, but I was strict.
Okay. 369's trying to build up Rage Bar. He's actually fighting Sasa in the side lane, but Sasa's winning this. Wow. Forces 369 out, and he won't have Mega Gnar for this fight. He's going to have to back teleport to the play, and he's just going to be missing out. So no Mega Gnar here for TES. I wonder if they're going to continue to look for this. Still, a bunch of other ultimates are going to be high impact for this.
369 teleporting back in on the bot side, and Crisp. This could be the flank of dreams. Completely in the dark right now by LGD. XQW, word to the wiser, hops over the wall. Now Chris has to use the quickness to get out of there. Gets polymorph, but is able to dash back to safety. True shot barrage from Jackie Love. Does force all of LGD back. Huge between worlds from Cream. He's looking for the killing blow. Fate and Seal from XQW does not get him out away from the damage. Climber has to be boosted up by YCX. It's TES, even when they're late to the party, still being the belle of the ball.
I just think that LGD are playing with no confidence here. They're not trying to make plays happen on side lanes. Some of the individuals are looking to kind of win their 1v1s, but it just feels like some of the wind is just out of their sails. We haven't seen LGD fight forward. It's always them retreating from plays, never making the play forward to try to find a member who no longer has a sum. So TES, they get the Dragon. They'll be able to kill XQW on the way out. They'll take the Otacon as well. TES might just be getting served up a free 3-0 after getting pushed in game 1.
Oh, it's such a sad thing to see. The power of tilt, even on a stage as big as this, potentially at play. We'll get a replay back, and this started out so well with them being able to survive this flank, but the power of the Aurora and the Ezreal, the range difference we talked about, I think really reared its ugly head in this one.
I just don't know why we're ulting a Xayah here. No one's on top of us. It's a Rakan ultimate and Ezreal. We know that Vi is in the pit and she's nowhere near this. It just feels like LGD are not on the same page. The coordination isn't quite there, and some of the great things that we were excited for coming in for this team. I mean, hell, this was an LGD that made a series up against AL look competitive. Shalia and YCX were performing in the 2v2. XQW was a bit fearless, especially on this Yone. And Climber kind of just feels like a different beast now. He's not even looking for, look, we're using Yone to get out of these plays. That's it. All you need to do from TS is just leave. No one else is here.
Nobody else. They're going to catch Crisp, though. Does have the revive.
Right.
They have enough damage to grab that one. Knockup found onto Kareem from XQW, but can use the Between Worlds to get himself to safety. Still some gold, but not as much as you'd like, and the wave states in the other lanes are just so rough. Yeah.
This is tough, man. Like, LGD now just get run across the map. This is some of the errors of a team that comes down or comes up from the LDL. Their map plays aren't super in sync, and that has not always been the case for LGD, man. I feel like this is a kind of a love-lost series right now, as I feel like a lot of the horrors of Game 1 are starting to haunt them here in Game 2. Maybe a loss of confidence after being so dominant in Game 1, and I just want to see them go forward. I need to see them actually play with some gumption to actually attack their opponents, because TS are just being able to do whatever they want. They can take whatever turrets they want. They can take whatever objectives they want, because LGD never actually pressed the issue on them.
Well, Climber maybe trying to defend his turret here.
Like, what is
he's on the back
this?
foot, and they're just allowing Cream to chunk them. They're just gonna let this tier 2 fall. They're once again clicking back towards their fountain and letting Top Esports take whatever they want.
Crisp should never be allowed to do that, man. This guy literally just W'd forward under their turret, and no one's CCing this guy. There's no polymorph. There's no Climber going in. Even though he didn't have the ultimate, I wanted to see him at least use the Arctic Assault. Like, force something. Force a summoner spell. Force TES to actually respond to you, because it just feels like they're posing questions. TES are saying, are you going to let us take this turret? Yes? Okay, cool. Are you going to let us take this dragon? Awesome. We'll take that. You're posing no questions. You're just giving away answers to this team.
And the one thing that, back to your point there, it's Top Esports playing the map well. It's what we expect from them, what you expect from a team up against LDL, but an LDL champion. But the difference was team fights. LGD, they found ways to win fight after fight, forcing issues, not allowing 369 to get in his comfort zone. And if you don't have that, what do you have right now if you're LGD?
You got a game 3. Sasa does get canceled on his recall. I mean, look, there's Baron spawning in 45, Dragon in about a minute here. What I want to see from a team like TES, who is in the lead right now, is just the ability to close this out. You have really strong leads, especially with 369 and Kanavi. And while this has been not the greatest game, or really, I think, a not very significant game here for Cream, I think this Aurora is providing a lot on the map. So keep playing the map, keep playing on your 1-4 style. We're allowing one of your solo laners to split, and I mean, you just take literally every objective you want. TES, this was the level of performance that we kind of needed to see from this team, because they haven't been bulletproof. We saw in Demacia Cup that this was a team that ended up falling in the grand finals. It seems like AL might just have their number this season, but some of their games have not been the prettiest, and while we expect this team to go to playoffs, some of the other teams are starting to level up, especially a team like Weibo. That's going to be a second seed they're going to be playing against. You think about all the teams that are in the bottom side of the graphic. Yeah, TES versus BLG is a matchup we could get up as one of the first rounds of playoffs. So they need to be able to shape up and quickly if they want to have a chance of being able to attend first stand.
And right now, they've shaped up pretty well in this second game, just completely commanding the map. The one win con that was really burgeoning for LGD was that Mountain Soul stacking. It's now been completely neutralized as that Drake falls to Kanavi almost all alone. Drakes are evened up. They've lost every turret outside of their base, and Baron now on the Rift. Top Esports, it's one of the most simple plays in League they can go for now. They can look for picks or force them to come party at Baron, but Kanavi's looking for the killer blow to catch off Xiaoya. Gets the Featherstorm out first, then puts the Cease and Desist down there with Tweed Worlds from Cream right on time. And this is the TES we needed going up into the playoffs. They are just executing LGD across the board right now.
Xiaoya yet again gets caught in TES. They say, thank you very much. We asked you if we could have your base, and LGD delivered to them on a silver platter. They're going to bust open this base. It's going to be XQW to make a miracle.
And that miracle is all imaginary. Dropped in an instant. Baron not even needed. This one going to be done and dusted way before we can reach 30 minutes. Top Esports went from a Blast Cone savior to the juggernauts expected they needed to be heading into these playoffs. And they're up 2-0 looking for the killer blow against LGD.
Match point here for Top Esports. If they can show another game like that, I think fans can start to get a little bit excited. But also LGD just kind of fumbling a little bit, kind of lost a little bit in the Rift there. And sad to see, especially for a roster of, you know, some exciting rookies from the LDL.
Yeah, we were worried about it all. Not the rust, that's the wrong word. The nerves coming off that bad loss in game one, it just messes up their mojo. And we saw it from the jump at this game too, right? Climber getting pushed out of his jungle and just not making the right read to give it on up. That brutal first blood, I feel like that was just foreshadowing for what the rest of this game came to be.
And we haven't seen, I think, the firepower of this duo from LGD. Like, parts of Game 1, we got to see it, but they weren't, I think, super in sync as Zinzao and Azir. Climber and XQW, at least in this one, this should have been the game to really see them as a dynamic pair, running around the map, winning skirmishes. But that just wasn't the case. Part of that, I think, comes from part of the early game. Climber, with that death to Kanavi, kind of ruins a lot of what Sejuani wants to be able to do. The bottom lane wasn't able to really kind of affect the 2v2. You have double ranged into Rakan Ezreal. You should be able to get at least some push, get some damage, and trade versus them. It never came to fruition. I think a lot of the early plans from LGD started to fall apart, and part of that is just from the early invade. I think that level 1 where we saw them around Raptors, they never actually pushed Kanavi off, so Climber's already behind, dies in his own jungle. Feels like boom or bust from that point on.
And what really compounds that, you know, aggressiveness issue, the other edge of the double-edged sword, you like to say, with YCX on these enchanters, right, is we're seeing LGD, if they're not confident in team fighting, YCX, he's such a pivotal engage tool. We saw it in some of those highlights with his Rel up against AL, creating good fight windows. The WE series, that Nautilus was constantly clutch. And putting him on Enchanters, we talked about it. It looked good. It fit good into their draft. But if Climber's, you know, off tempo, you know, not feeling himself, it has to be YCX to start these fights. And you just can't do that when you're playing Lulu, duty.
Yeah, there's just no engage from this team. That is one of the issues, right? Like, you're just Soul Sejuani and maybe a Jax. But you have to all in. And for TES, they had a lot of ways being able to play around it, a ton of mobility. I think that we got to see a lot from certain members here, especially Kanavi, who has had a lot of questions thrown at him. He has had a lot of ridicule, especially for the end of his spout on JDG. And this time around here on TES, he is supposed to be, I think, leading this team to a championship. To at least one of these splits, we see TES at the top of the scoreboard.
Look at these damage numbers, all. I mean, it's disgusting.
SQW never fought this guy, man. This guy was getting milked for numbers.
Xiaoya has below 5k damage on AD carry. Like, and it wasn't that disastrous of an early game where they like just never got to play.
They just chose to. They made the choice.
They chose not to. Yeah.
We will not be fighting these guys whenever we can, which sucks to see, especially for an LGD roster that we're so excited about. You know, 2 LDL champions from last year. You have a bunch of top-tier rookies or top-tier prospects, especially coming in and top in support, but never really coming to fruition. Maybe in Split 2, right? This is another one of those teams similar to like an FPX or maybe even RNG that in Split 2 we're really excited to see, but in a brutal format here in Split 1 where you play 3 best-of-5s and you're done, it might just be a tale of the format.
You're really seeing these highlights, TES getting into their comfort zone. That's back-to-back classic Kanavi 369 ganks. That's down the real only aggressive player in the early game that we saw from LGD was Sasua. And outside of this one Fate Unsealed Glacial Prison combo, you're going to watch LGD on the back foot every time going forward.
Yeah. I want to just say, if Kanavi doesn't get MVP for this game,
we're trolling.
I already know it's probably going to be Cream again because I saw the popular votes earlier on. I will say this is a much better performance. This was a better performance from Cream. This was not as bad as the Orianna game. So if there are, I also wouldn't be surprised to see Crisp. I think Crisp on this Rakan, he's made his name on this champion in years past, but he this time around, his Rakan was really clean. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's any of these 3.
I just think it's full Kanavi. I mean, even this last fight that decides it, right? Just being,
it was a bit of a jungle
in the right
this
place
game.
at the right time. It was a complete jungle wipe. It was a jungle canyon, unfortunately. The climber did not climb out of. So I think it should go to Kanavi. We'll see, though, as our MVP is soon to come through here, especially on like his Vi, right? Come on, all gets his Vi. Like,
yeah, Vi was going to be such a pivotal champion for this series, so hopefully we get to see it from him. And going further into the series, if TES want to keep it dominant and keep us on a light night, I need to be able to see TES continue to perform. I think, unironically, this is a team that will benefit from more games, especially for, I think, building this duo of JackeyLove and Crisp. We haven't seen too much of them, and it sucks because JackeyLove is such a beloved player here in the LPL, being able to bring home the world champion after debuting. And mechanically, he has always been, I think, at the forefront of AD carries, but
there we go.
Yeah, I really want to see more of what JackeyLove and Crisp can do with more time, because it just hasn't really shown up here. And there we go.
There we go. But that's a good point, right? Because one of the big prevailing thoughts all coming into the LPL split as a whole, looking at new rosters, new pairings, was JackeyLove with Chris, right? That was one of the biggest off-season switch-ups, I would say, when it comes to the LPL in 2025.
I mean, you're replacing Mako, right? Any player that's
like
replacing Mako, you're kind of filling big shoes. So, I don't know. I'm expecting for TES to close out this series, but maybe LGD got one last fight in them.
Well, if they're going to do so, they've got to find their mojo back, especially between that mid-jungle duo, because they just looked scared out there in this one up against Top Esports after that disastrous game number 1. But we've already had one near reverse sweep happen in the LPL this week. Who says LGD can't get it done if they can get their confidence back? We're going to take another short intermission here. On the other side, we'll figure out if we've got TES dominance to secure a playoff spot or another intriguing series on our hands. Don't go anywhere. Here we go, everybody. Potentially our final game of the group stage. Split 1 of the LPL. If the series continues on the unfortunate trajectory, right here we were for LGD. This is what I like to call the blast cone. I was going to say parabellum. That's not the word I'm looking for. Paradox. The blast cone paradox, as we like to call it. And we're now down here. We are now all the way down here ever since that happened. Top Esports leveled up, getting that Game 1 win, and Game 2 was not close. And we just need to see that confidence back at LGD. That's the first step towards a bigger series, I feel.
You know who doesn't need confidence right now? At TES, man. I want to see these guys slam. We came into this series saying, look, TES are not infallible, but they should be the expected favorites here. And barring a Game 1 that looked pretty close for most of it, TES have been performing. I think in particular, a player who was having some criticism levied towards them in earlier series, 369, I think, has really started to find his stride. And for 2 games in a row now, has put up, honestly, MVP level performances in every one of them.
Wow, sounds like we leveled up that soft 9 to a 369 level.
Yeah, hard 9, brother.
Yeah, hard 9 indeed. Get into the draft soon here. If you're new, Fearless. If you're popping in a little bit late, no worries to the LPL split. We are in the Fearless that you might have been seeing in all your other Fearless favorite leagues. So we already have a ton of champions off the board here, all of which makes me impose the classic question to one of my great analytical minds. How do you see the draft for LGD potentially changing now that we have a lot of key champions, especially some pretty key junglers off the board for a guy like Climber?
That could be a pretty big influence, especially since we still have some AD bruisers that both of these guys like to play. I wonder if we're going to be getting a Pantheon game from either Kanavi or Climber. Low-key, though, I know we haven't been able to see too many of them, but all of the engagement, but this feels like a mirage of a support game, right? Because we have Rel, Leona, Nautilus, Braum. The only real engaged support that's gone now is Rakan. And we're in Game 3, so wonder if any of the duos are going to be coming out, and even the AD carries are starting to get whittled away at. So I think that maybe Misfortune starts to climb in value, especially with a lot of engaged supports already still available.
We'll have to see. Draft already underway. Your classics being taken off the board here in the LPL. No Corki, no Renekton from LGD, and the classic red side banner Skarner comes through once more alongside the Rumble. I wonder, do you think LGD maybe don't ban the Ambessa this time? Could that be an angle they go for, knowing Top Esports?
I think they need to be able to at least try it. I know that they're maybe afraid of TES being able to pick it, but it then also means, what else are you looking for as LGD? What is your first pick going to be here? Now up to TES, they've been a team that's been avoiding this Ambessa champion. Are they going to be willing to either take it away or look for a potential counter and look for a trade?
I feel like it's a B1 Ambessa here if this doesn't get banned with the Poppy and the Renekton. So
yeah,
we'll have to see. They're really pondering this last ban. I think you just play the Ambessa. Yep, give the respect over. So Ambessa going to be the last ban. Leaves the B1 up here for LGD. And they're going to immediately slam in Udyr that was banned away in the first game.
One of Sasa's most played champion. This is actually his most played champion in 2024, and in his career, his second most played champion. What does TES have for Udyr? Udyr's a champion that can't really be moved out of lane all that often. He's also really good in a split push or a lane swap scenario. So I wonder what TES are going to be looking to try to answer with this. No, I mean, Varus, yeah, Varus is still up on the table. It was a champion that we had kind of been hinting at throughout the series, but finally they're able to grab that for Jackie Love.
The Varus. Always a good pick when you already see an Udyr, right? Especially with where I feel On Hit is a much more potent version of Varus at this current iteration. Get a lot of value going into an Udyr off the rip. But yeah, I want to see 369 lean into that confidence we've been talking about. Let's get this guy on a big-time carry. Lock the Aatrox in. I love it. Let's see how much of a lead this guy can get again. And this time, it's not just to be a team fight setup. All gets to annihilate the team fights with that World Ender.
Yep, 10-3 in last year, 36-12 in total for his career on this Aatrox. So we'll see what LGD have cooking on the back end. Again, with some of the unique junglers, especially that Olaf in Game 1, we were waiting to see where Wukong priority was going to be, and it seems like LGD are going to be going towards that. Now, we see the hover of the Ahri. I wonder if there's also maybe an 80 carry that they're looking for, because honestly, the pool's starting to get pinched. No Xayah, no Ashe, Varus being taken away. There's no Ezreal or Kalista. So, especially with that Corki ban, I think the pool starts to get a little bit smaller here, and you might have to be dipping down into some unfavorable matchups.
Wow. The Doinby effect on LPL is shining through now. I mean, we got an XQW rise. We got Knight to break this thing out in an absolute stomp game win for BLG. So another rise comes on down. What do Top Esports want to do here? They hovered the Kanavi Nidalee last game before locking the Vi. And once again, to further push this point, when you're playing with confidence, I like champions like a Nidalee to be locked in, especially after an MVP game from Kanavi.
For Kanavi now, we're going to need to see him be aggressive in the enemy jungle, especially versus this Wukong. You do not want to get into a team fight setup where your team is playing with a Aatrox with a Varus, and suddenly there's an Udyr and a Ryze running straight to the back line with a Wukong in invisibility. So LGD, they have a lot of setup. I think they're pretty low range for the most part, but they have some pretty decent damage, and they're going to have really high HP totals, especially this Ryze and Udyr. So here for TES, they need to be getting rid of 80 carries. They're going to be dealing well or be able to kind of line up with really beefy front lines. I like the idea of a Kai'Sa being taken away. And with Varus here, there's not very strong AD lanes that are going to be able to deal with the range of this champion. So what are we going to be pairing this up with? Also, we're going to be getting maybe Cream's pick of choice or going for a support counter pick for Crisp.
Looks like the Hui will be the pick of choice. In some spots, I think this could be a support flex if you want to play the distance poke Varus for a pretty dominating 2v2 lane, but I think this is going to go mid lane. Do we get the Xiaoya Draven?
Wow.
That'd be fun.
I think this is such a twofold. This would be such a twofold call. Not only is it Draven into Jackie Love of all things, but it's also Xiaoya, who is recently or in the past one of his most played champions. We want to go for an all-in look. You need to be able to have one lane here that explodes the map. Varus, especially in terms of range, is going to be out-damaging you, but you need to be like a 2v2 here that's going to be able to smash the bottom lane if we want to see LGD walk into team fights. And finally, we get an engaged champion. It's going to be the Nautilus coming in for LGD.
Though, the bounce back here for Crisp. I think Rel is a real annoying issue for a Nautilus to deal with. Volatile lane finally for LGD. Engaged champion comes for YCX. Maybe this is the game they find their tempo back in, but I'm just still very worried about this top side. I think you've already made 369 a sleeping giant in his matchup.
Sasa is going to have to be playing a bit careful. I don't expect him to be getting very many resources. There's a Draven in the game, so we do expect for them to be kind of a big focus, especially early on. And I want to see LGD make big waves and then stack them to go for dives, especially after XQW has access to his ultimate. You can teleport in, make sure that the Ryze is going to be a potent side laner. And for TES, they have such a strong way of being able to kind of muscle their way into fights. My issue, I think, with this TES composition is if they're not ahead, if they're not in a strong enough position, I think that the HP bars of LGD are going to be too much to deal with. And really, you're kind of relying on Chris by himself engaging. You are trying to maximize the range, the poke composition with a Varus, Hui, and Nidalee.
Will this be the final game of Split 1's group stage in the LPL? Or do LGD have something cooking in the furnaces as the fire begins to dwindle? It's time to find out as we head on to Summoner's Rift here, where I suspect all could potentially see another lane swap, especially with the Draven in play like you're talking about. The Udyr could be a solid strategy for LGD in this one, I feel.
Yeah, especially against the Aatrox. I mean, you just take Ignite as the Nautilus. You can go up, walk to him, level 1 and walk this guy down, maybe force a summoner spell. Have to assume that TES on the opposite side should be expecting, or at least know that this is a possibility of happening. You already see the early deploys. All of TES towards this top side with Cream by himself. No one from LGD showing quite yet. Going for a 5-point here. And you can already see that TS's bot lanes are getting ready to potentially make that swap happen.
See the Comet for Jackie Love. So we are going to get that lethality poke Varus. Potent in lane. Spikes
they get spotted.
quicker. They do get spotted. Spikes quicker going into, the mid game, your first item power point, but I do worry about that build path into this LGD team if this game stays close and goes into the later stages.
I think it's the only way, really, that JackeyLove's able to deal damage, because I'll be honest, I don't know about you, I really don't want to play on-hit Varus into a Nautilus, into Ryze, and Udyr. This entire LGD team makes me pretty miserable to play. I agree, and I can kind of see it would definitely up their consistent damage, but the point of this TES composition is make sure that LGD never walk into a fight with more or similar HP bars to us. We need to make sure that at least one member from LGD are down 10, 20, 30% of their HP bar before they walk into a fight. So we're going to be seeing that maybe with some focus from bottom lane. Kanavi is starting on the top side of the map, and Climber can very easily, after getting red buff, make a surprise appearance on this bottom lane.
Same could be said for the flip on the top side. If you want for Kanavi, rush down your camps, maybe skip to put L369 in a better spot. We'll have to see with both junglers starting on the opposite sides. First game we get with no lane swaps and no, down under bottom lanes to the top lanes, but it's YCX that's going to throw the initial dredge line out into Crisp. And
oh my god.
with the power of Draven, that's lane prio with the snap of a finger.
Great job from them. Climber is looking like he's pathing away. He'll be getting the red buff for himself. And yeah, now level 2 already has double axis spinning here for Xiaoya. Need to see what TS are going to be able to do. I mean, even if Kanavi comes down here, I don't know if they'll have enough damage. Yes, it is in Italy, and you have the the amount of damage that a Varus can have access to, but level 2, don't know if it's going to happen. Climber already getting into the face, though. And we get the move from mid. XQW is moving on over. They're getting the push as well from bottom lane. If they can stop Kanavi from getting blue buff, you're feeling great about this.
Big smite here that could come across. Kanavi doesn't get close enough. YCX keeps him at bay, so Climber steals away the blue buff. Starting to get some good poke down with this Hui in Italy, but just too little too late. Climber's going to get away with his buff steal. And
wait a minute.
Buff. Navi's definitely looking. Root going to come across XQW. Dredgeline.
Wow!
Chris to protect him. The wall interrupting any further engage.
That was really well timed, I think, from YCX, because typically when you're playing a hook champion or any engage into Hui, you get feared in the middle of your engage, so you have to immediately walk back. But the fear comes out, and while it's hitting him, he's able to get the pull through from Nautilus. So just barely not able to make that play.
Ooh,
and Climber from invisibility.
Yeah, Cream gets a good fear though, and it creates just enough space with XQW out of mana, not enough to find that kill, but flash off the Hui at the end of the day.
Climber, help your mid laner, man. Your mid laner helped you make the push. Now you have to be able to help him get his wave back in. Nidalee going to help Cream for the time being catch this wave. And that'll also mean a early scuttle here for Climber, splitting the map on the top side. Kanavi getting spotted on this ward is so good, because maybe that would have opened up a play. Xiaoya and YCX.
How did that dredge line land? YCX
Let's
will
go!
take it. One more axe. The passive from Draven. Adoration cashed in for first blood. Xiaoya gets all the gold in the world. Kanavi does show up here. We'll be able to trade Xiaoya as he's just too far up without any summoners. So a couple chucks of the spear will find the kill back, but still, knowing Draven's passive, big stonks for the LGD bottom lane.
Yeah, I think Draven honestly was a big loser of the new season, because there's no First Blood gold anymore. First Blood is just a normal kill now. All of that gold is kind of packed into getting the feats of warfare. So yeah, it was some Draven stacks, but we'll take a look in this replay here. A lot of summoner spells were used during this. The fact that this lands, by the way, minions be damned. I mean, look, he uses all the flashes. They try to get this kill, but I mean, JackeyLove just doesn't have enough damage. They're in the middle of a minion wave, and it's great for Kanavi to be able to pick up this kill, but you see on the top side, Climber just gets a little bit more time, finishes his camps, can take a reset as well, can look towards the top side of the map. Hasn't quite hit the back button, so he's got a lot of gold in his back pocket, and might even be late for what is a grub start in 40 seconds.
Still got a pretty nifty camp lead.
Oh, we're going for the dive? No ult on XQW. Okay, force it. You got to do it now.
Yeah, they like it without the JackeyLove summoners. Climber waiting for
Nidalee's
XQW
on her
to
way.
come up. Dredgeline not going to land. They're going to get the root on the JackeyLove. Teleport's coming in to try and save them. Jackie's going to go down. YCX be traded. And in comes the reinforcements. Kanavi's going to cut off Climber to find one kill. Xiaoya in the 1v1 with a world-ended buff 369, and the dive maybe got Jackie Love, but his squad's got him to back it up to the tune of a 3-1 trade.
You lose a plate in mid. You just barely were able to get a kill there. Looks tough, and honestly for TES, they get the first 3 kills, so they'll get that feat of warfare there. I don't know about that one, Slayer. This looks like a pretty suspicious game coming in from LGD. Dive was not prescripted for them.
Just so pumped to see the discipline from Top Esports right now. Their own confidence we've been preaching since Game 2 to get those teleports going. Kanavi in the right spot to answer these plays from LGD. Because last game it was LGD just kind of scared. Now it feels like Top Esports have found their number and are just answering everything they're trying to do.
Hey, at least we're seeing some plays from LGD. That was another kill, and that'll be a lot of gold that's taken out from Jackie Lowe's pockets. But, I mean, while the gold is even between our 280 carries, it's a grub taken here for Kanavi. And Xiaoya is actually down half a level versus his counterpart. So they need to dive on a 369.
Yep, doesn't have one under for the big heal, so he'll fall. Dive trying to go on the other side for Top Esports.
This could be good, though.
Hits the wall, so he gets thrown into all of Top Esports. Xiaoya can't really get committed to some of these swirling axes. It'll be a trade of kills on each side of the map and some camps.
Man, this Draven's starting to feel worse and worse. One of the problems with playing Draven into a poke lane, someone especially that outranges you, like this poke Varus, means that you can kind of take all the HP before you're actually able to interact with him. Xiaoya just takes his recall. He's going to get a pickaxe, but if you take a look at this replay, I mean, YCX just walks in blind, and the Nidalee setup as well. I mean, Xiaoya just does not do enough damage at this moment, so sucks to say, but LGD, they make plays in the opposite side of the map, but they lose out even more because now this Nidalee is starting to really turbocharge.
And that's what you needed from Kanavi's Nidalee. Whenever you pick this champion, early game needs to find success to get these spears really buffed up in the damage department. Kanavi just picking up right where he left off from that Vi game, it seems. 369 settling into his matchup as well. Top Esports are on schedule to meet those win cons from their comp that they drafted, looking for their first sweep of the LPL split.
I mean, Dragon's up if they really want it, but all of these top side camps here for Kanavi should mean that TES are looking to at least protect the Varus and Rel on the Crash. No plays on the top side to be really made, and for a game that we expected to see a little bit more action from Climber, especially on the bottom lane wave, it seems like the coordination just hasn't been there for LGD the past couple games, to be honest. So need to be able to tighten up the ship if they want any chance at being able to play, because not only is this our last game of the groups, this is the last spot for playoffs. So for TES, an expected favorite here in this one, but they really need to be able to clean up their act and kind of close out this game to make it into playoffs.
Luckily, their cleanest phase of the game is soon to come. Mid-game not too far away. It's when they've really just been so much better on the map. They have been in this early phase. They got the first 3 grubs for free. Nobody's really on that dragon yet as well. Kanavi not too far off that first item. They'll really start to juice up this Nidalee.
Maybe they try to make a play onto these blue buffs. There's not too much vision here. And again, they're just kind of doing sparring blows, saying, kind of testing where your opponents are, saying, hey, can you take this jab? Can I go for this steal? With Chris especially, him and Kanavi have been roaming around trying to make sure that they get any vision down, and Climber's got to be careful, probably just giving up this objective. Jackie Love also has ultimate here, so got to be very careful. LGD are just losing push everywhere, and it just means that Kanavi can cannibalize the jungle so much more quickly than Wukong.
Getting his revenge for that blue buff he lost earlier, and you could tell.
Thanks, man. I'll trade 1 buff camp for all of your jungle camps. Worthwhile trade if I'm TES.
Hey, you started it. You started it, Climber. Kanavi's looking to finish it. So definitely.
Mom
got
said
that
it's my
camp
turn to
going.
take all your camps.
Yeah, Mom said it's mine. But I only took your. Nope, all your camps.
Nope.
They're all mine.
Nope. I'm big bro. Kanavi's big bro right now.
Yeah.
So, Mom said it's my turn. I get to have all your jungle camps belong to me, and we haven't seen for LGD. They have a lot of time to still be able to play this game. I know we were kind of harping on the bottom lane matchup, but you can kind of change modes of what you're doing with this Draven. Draven typically has a lot of early damage, and so with his passive, you should be able to find early kills and kind of snowball that lead, but as long as Draven is keeping up stacks in the mid game, a single kill, kind of immediately slingshots him above the enemy AD carry in ways that they're not really going to be able to catch up, at least naturally. So maybe in this grub fight, we'll be able to see from LGD. They get one grub. Okay, so that's not the feats of warfare, or the feats of strength for epic monsters at least.
Oh, Dredge
what the?
Land on the 369. Don't know how that hook landed, but he doesn't get the World Ender off. So the Dredge Line results in a kill. Sasa going to be traded back out. Here's the big Cyclone coming through, though, for Climber. Can
Xiaoya!
No, it's Xiaoya in the 1v1. Does get those adoration stacks over the wall. They find the kill onto Kanavi as well. Realm Warp doesn't find its mark there. XQW doesn't want to push the tempo too much. But the YCX engage, desperately needed from game 2, gets them their first fight win in a game and a half.
I was going to say, yeah, that was the first time we actually saw LGD make a proactive, full 5-man team fight happen in a game and a half. All of game 2, it felt like they were just too spread out across the map. And now, finally, look, big shutdown there for Xiaoya. 135 stacks, plus a shutdown that was available onto Kanavi. I don't know how this hooks land. Again, I feel bad for 369 on this one. His AD carry, rightfully so, didn't want to get hooked, but he gets taken down. That's the one shutdown here for Xiaoya, and the rest of the team from LGD finally make good. They destabilize the fight. They split up the members of TES, and again, this is a team that's going to have a really big wake-up, not only with the amount of damage that someone like Draven is going to have, but Ryze is eventually going to scale into oblivion in this game. We talked about during the draft that LGD health bars were going to be a big point of hurt for TES as this game went on, and that's going to continue to be the case. They're not behind the curve in any meaningful way.
Maybe only in grub count.
True.
Kanavi gets back towards the pit and does get themselves Void Mites, so 5-1 split.
But all the turrets are full HP, man.
Yeah.
Look at them.
Yeah.
Like, you're never getting push versus Ryze and Udyr versus Aatrox. Like, it's just not happening.
Definitely an investment right to the later phase. Once you get 369 ahead on items with this Aatrox, he can be a menace in a side lane. The mites always help. You know, how many times we've seen a game defined where a team wins a fight late and the mites get them the win? I mean, that's what got Top Esports the win in game 1. They don't take the Nexus as early as they do without those mites.
Yeah, I mean, look, Void Mites is a win more objective, right? If you're never able to hit turrets, then you just never get use of them. But we'll see what TS are able to do with this objective, as we've got a couple of things still up on the table here. We've got the Herald in 2.5 minutes that LGD could be looking towards. I think TS are going to be putting additional focus on this, like we were saying, because of them having the mites. But we've got Dragon here. It looks like LGD are going to be able to take this, as Kanavi and them are just deploying back out onto the bat. First Dragon in 14 minutes. Okay, guys.
Woo!
All right. Nice.
First monster slaying feat for LGD is first Drake at 14 minutes. Definitely going to make any soul secure conversations feel a little less inevitable in this one. But hey, there's Climber to grab the Dragon. We see a lot of pretty big breakpoint items coming through here. We talked about how, a poke Varus gets a lot of benefit out of those cheap lethality items, but I mean, look at Xiaoya. He's got a BF sword and a Bloodthirster down. This guy, if he's able to cook, these axes are going to hurt.
Draven getting access to the first item is great, especially that Bloodthirster like you were mentioning. I will say, as long as TS can play on these 2-item cores, and especially for someone like Jackie Love, maybe there's an angle for them. I think there's a really big power spike coming in here for Kanavi. He's almost a full level over his opponent, and as the Nidalee, level's obviously very, very good, and has the Leandries, you just need to see them actually set up for fights, and I think that's mostly going to be coming around them actually playing team fights around objectives. So it's going to be on LGD to be able to find some fights before them to destabilize the map and get some summoner spell advantages.
Might have a fight.
There we go.
Top side, Roots from XQW sets up the Dredge line onto Chris. Gonna have his health bar burn through the Spiraling Despair. Gets a lot of work onto YCX, but XQW's just zoning Cream off all on his own. Kanavi goes in for the killing blow, but that might just be a one-way ticket.
Whoa!
Goes up for 2 kills. Kanavi's Nidalee cooking here when nobody expected.
2 kills, and more importantly here, XQW on this Ryze is starting to become a nuisance. Cream got completely zoned out of that fight and had to do what he could with the artillery range of this Hui, but we're already starting to see Kanavi has to overextend himself, and honestly, I'll take that. There's no Ignite now here for Crisp. There's no Ultimate for Cream as well. There are some really key spells that are going to be now available or taken away by LGD, and we had just talked about it. They need to find advantages before objectives start so that they can find this play. And Chris now down. I mean, it's for me anyway. No Nautilus ult before a Grub or before the Herald is going to be pretty impactful, but Kanavi moving in for 2 kills, I don't know if it's worth it. It's gold in your back pocket, yes, but you're now going to be late to the objective. You lose mid push first. I don't know.
369 dropping everything in his combo to keep
Playing
Salsa
Udyr.
up first. Turret secured. Yeah,
I'm
welcome to
playing Udyr.
Udyr. I just ignore your damage. He's just dancing around him. He's like,
Yep.
yo, nice try, little bro.
Thank you for the 4 grass procs there. Wow, XQW just used a Realm Warp there to try to get them in position behind Cream. But it does mean that mid is by himself, and Xiaoya has to walk into Fog of War. Very dangerous. We've seen this series already decided by Xiaoya getting caught beforehand. And now the Rift Herald being started by this AD carry. Draven's got to be so careful. He has both of his summoner spells up and a lot of Draven stacks.
Oh, there's the poke. YCX down way below 50% HP. Sasa teleporting in just to give enough range for LGD to secure the Herald. But these piercing arrows are starting to hurt here. The spears as well. They'll get the objective. But that big fight key difference you talked about, Alk, is Top Esports making the health bars a lot healthier before any fight can break out on their end with their range.
And we're getting to see some of, the side laning that we had talked about later or earlier in the series. Whenever they're cross-mapping, 369 and TES have been doing a really good job of making sure that they're getting other things across the map. And so...
Oh, they got feats off that. I just realized.
Yeah, they got the bottom lane tier 1. They also got the mid tier 1 at the same time. And this TP coming in from 369 will stop LGD from being able to respond. Really great job from TES. They may have lost the Herald fight, but they got a lot more on the back end of that. And they kind of stopped a fight from occurring, which definitely would have been in favor of LGD if they were able to find one.
Already getting value out of the Grubs. Up 2 turrets to none. The one biggest stat differential in this matchup has definitely been the turrets taken. And a lot of that is due to 369. But we have a big buff coming that should open or really, I would say, widen the gap in a much closer game 3 here. Another Voracious Otacon. This one, I feel, is the most integral of the 3 we've seen so far.
Yeah, especially with how close this game is starting to feel. It's only about 800 gold here for TES, and I want to check in on some of those items we were talking about. Xiaoya is almost done with getting an Infinity Edge here, which is going to be very, very good. And then you look at XQW, 4 more minutes until fully stacked Rod of Ages. Very close to finishing has his Seraphs completed as well, so can actually fight right now if he really wanted to, even with the Dragon spawning around this Otacon. If they don't want to, look, in 4 minutes, you're still going to be even stronger here for LGD. So, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see them drop this Dragon, really focus on getting gold and finishing some of those items, but maybe they just feel like, we can't give this objective up. We have to be able to play on the map. You have Herald as well. Just play for mid-tier 1, honestly.
At the very least, yeah, just trade this out. Dragon's already down, though, so Top Esports can swing their way back through. This is what we've talked about all series long. TES are much better on the map. Question is, will they be able to cover their mid-turret? It's going to be Climber to hop in the Herald, and he's got other ideas. I don't know about this one. What do we... Yo, Climber! Man.
All right.
Avert your eyes.
I have no defense. I have no defense for my client. My client is... Wait. Maybe...
No, it doesn't crash, dude.
He doesn't get the crash. So, I could understand not wanting to get the crash there because as soon as you come out, you already know how long basically the distance is going to be for the engage, and then Rel can just engage wherever the Wukong's going to land after jumping out of the Herald. But I would just wasted this objective. Climber, uncharacteristic mistakes from a guy who I think really kept his head calm, cool, and collected when he was playing up against someone like Tarzan, but this time around just feels like maybe a little scatterbrained, is a little all over the place, and now we're fighting for entrance into the mid-brush. I don't know if this is real. I
was seeing Climber might have a redemption story, the flank he was trying to set up, but YCX backs Top Esports into a much safer position on his own there. Everything settles back in. Everyone jumping back on, getting side lane pressure if you're in the name of Sasa. Do want to talk back to items really quickly. Love this adaptation from Jackie Love. This is such a high-value Serpent's Fang game.
Yep. And we'll see how much he's able to do, but again, we talked about it. He still needs to be able to buy a Muramana here, so once he's done building all of the components and finishing this item, maybe there's some chance here for TES. But I'm looking at Xiaoya, I'm looking at XQW. Those item trays are getting fuller and fuller, and they're getting more complete. Infinity Edge done now. Almost 300 stacks for this Draven. If he cashes in, he's going to explode his gold lead to about 1,000, if not more. So TS got to be very worried and at least thinking about, hey, how are we shutting down Draven? How are we stopping Draven from getting kills? And the items, I will say, for TS are not bad here, especially with the Horizon focus already done here for Kanavi. He's going to deal a lot of damage, but he has to make sure the spears are able to connect. And I like how TS are playing around objectives. They're getting there first, setting down vision, and a lot of traps here.
Speaking of traps, they're setting one onto Chris, who already had to use the Fairmancy. Gets dismounted. XQW tried to turn out all the damage he can.
Whoa, 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 whoa!
Chasing the kill
There it
because
is!
he gets the whirling death for Xiaoya, and the Adoration cash-in is alive and well.
Oh, wait a minute, here comes the
They
re-engage!
found Kanavi. What a hook from YCX. This guy's doing it all on his pad to Nautilus. Down goes the jungler. 369 trying to cut off Sasa's retreat, but Udyr, this guy just ignores damage. He doesn't care about his health bar. It never depletes. And LGD get out with 2 clutch kills on the team fight.
And if they want out, they could just use the Realm Warp. But now it is 2 members down here for TES, and an Otacon started. I think this might be dangerous. It's on to how Sasa can keep them out from this bush. But you've already lost geography here. Can they get this objective?
There's no World Ender. Jackie Love, Chains of Corruption. They're just going to have to give this. This is
dangerous.
Nice to see from LGD. This is the team fighting that we missed in Game 2.
And this is the XQW from Game 1, man. I know we're doing different kind of callbacks here, but this is the mage player that we were missing in Game number 2. And Crisp, he gets caught out. Look at where the rest of his team is. Crisp is our Cream is recalling. We're trying to take control of mid with Kanavi and Jackie Love, but XQW, he makes the play happen. He flashes over. We get this execution from Xiaoya. One of the changes to Draven ult was you get the execute if it's below Draven stacks, and we're back to live. Chris is caught again.
Yeah, we're back to YCX's Nautilus. Chris trying to kite back, does get a big stun. Decent damage from Jackie Love, but there's revives on LGD. Why would they ever stop pushing the tempo as they find themselves another pick?
They lose access of mid, but I mean, look, honestly, if TES wanted to look for something, there's a lot of damage coming out from Kanavi and from Jackie Love. Crisp getting caught out there slows down the game, and that's not what you want to do as this TES composition. You want to keep the snowball rolling, make sure that your Nidalee and your Varus are able to deal damage. I mean, look, Cream is always going to be able to deal a lot of damage, especially with Hui, but this is getting very risky, and don't tell me this is the game that LGD win. It was that Game 1 that we were looking at them, saying you're in such a dominant lead. We need to see them close this out if we want to have any confidence in LGD having a chance in the series.
And this is the most wary point of the game for LGD up against Top Esports. But I will say the one stark difference in that department, the map play, is that the Sasa Udyr has really limited any of 369's time. He's always had to answer these waves constantly. He hasn't got to get into those classic Aatrox fight stances that you like. And it's really just helping LGD push the tempo, but more, it might just be a catch on to XQW of all people. He does get the revive, drops through. Crimer hunting for a kill onto Chris. He's got his own revive as well for the next 25 seconds. So there won't be any shutdowns cashed in for Top Esports. Just a classic 400 gold with 369 slamming down on that Q3.
But do they maybe even look for the Dragon here? I think Baron might be a little bit off the table here, especially with how long some of these resets can be. But they can't even get anything. They're just going to go back to doing jungle camp. So what did they trade for that? It was the Ignite from Crisp. Not many summoner spells. It seems like LGD just really wanted to kind of leverage those revives before they were gone to get themselves the mid-tier 1.
Nearly had themselves a bottom lane tier 2 there. Sasa had a bit more damage. Still playing the map pretty well, are LGD, but all eyes, they're turning towards this Baron. Despite the last couple of big fight wins here from LGD, the Baron could really flip everything on its head, and the gold isn't that big of a gap where there's huge item differentials, especially now that we do have Jackie Love with that more mana fully completed. This Varus is online, probably as strong as he's going to get.
I want to see what they're able to do. I mean, Kanavi upgraded the boots as well, so he should be doing a hell of a lot of damage. Climber and Sasa are going to start this objective up. I mean, no one's here. They're not even starting up Baron. You know that you lose access of mid. Sasa just shows, so good job from LGD. Keeping the game pace, making sure that they're able to stay relevant, taking objectives where they can. And TES, unable to advance the game state right now.
Good free Dragon. It just sucks that the first one we got of the game was at 14 minutes, so that was just the third Drake of the game taken. Doesn't really stall out on those soul stacks. Have been not much a big point of conversation because of how little these two junglers prioritized that part of the pit, that pit on the Rift, as the other one continues to see a ton of pressure, but the Rise's side lane threat is really rearing its ugly head for Top Esports. I mean, he's got the Seraphs, the Roa done, and XQW with ult up and flash. That's a bug. He's got his flash up. He's just really in his comfort zone looking for these turrets.
He's got level 16 now as well, so maybe here with Crisp, if they can make this play. Okay, a lot of damage onto him. Oh my god, the phase rush, dude.
Chains of Corruption went wide because of that phase rush. Crushing Maw doesn't land. It has to be a flash from Crisp, but they do end up getting XQW. Holds on to that flash, doesn't commit it, doesn't try and get a Realm Warp. So that's a big pick for Top Esports near the Baron Pit. Yeah,
but what else can they actually get for this? All this has done is just stop LGD from running over them on the map, maybe even taking a top tier 2. Other than that, look at what they invested for. Rel ult, Cream's ult, the Varus ult. Not much available here for TES. It feels like they are stuck in a holding pattern because of the fact that Chris got caught out a couple of times in the mid game. Now we're here at a point, 28 minutes. They'll try to grab this top tier 1 with the 5 grubs that they have. But, I mean, all it is gold in their back pocket. Okay.
Great flash from Cream. Doesn't even get knocked up. Teleport coming through for 669. Kanavi trying to push the tempo. Xiaoya, though, in a safe spot. The teleport won't really find much else, so it's a trade of flashes and a tier 1 turret really found, but just marginal pressure alleviation for Top Esports.
I think I'll take that if I'm Wukong, man. I'm taking flash away from Cream, and there's no teleport from 369. I've opened up our ability to actually side lane. I think that's a perfectly fine trade, especially with how 369 has played this series, and with how easy it is for LGD to actually execute onto the backline of TES. Top Esports now find themselves around the Baron, and with a Varus, regardless of what build you have, because of the access to max HP Shred, they can do this Baron pretty quickly, but I think they really are waiting for push on mid. Maybe they can pull Rise away from this objective, and they need to find a pick, most importantly. If they can find someone like Xiaoya or even Climber on a side lane, that'll really open up the scene. Maybe YCX is the play.
But they're walking into a flank here. XQW is going to flash over the wall to root Cream in place, excuse me, as Jackie Love is just getting bopped by Xiaoya. Down goes Cream, and now Chris is on the wrong side of the fight, and it's 2 huge picks for LGD with Barrett in their sights.
There we go. That's the play that we just saw around the top side. Get Cream's flash and then make the play on him once we get back onto the map. It's the Baron started here. Xiaoya, though, half HP, trying to heal with the Bloodthirster. And a couple summoner spells do make this very difficult. TES are throwing bombs down from long range, trying to get onto LGD, but none of them are quite landing right now, and this Baron is taking forever for them to take.
Still, though, the health bar's going down. Ooh, Xiaoya ate a huge spear at max range. Back down way below half HP. XQW called on the side by 369, but in goes Sasa with Climber to get the knockups. They've got Jackie Love pinned with a great dredge line from YCX. And TES is now on the back foot, but Kanavi wants to go back in. Too bad Sasa just doesn't take damage. He eats like candy at the shop. Kanavi into the stasis. 369 doesn't have access to that wound ender.
Wait, Cream's here. Where's Xiaoya?
Looking for the turn. 369 is looking for the big sweet spots on the Qs. Can he find another one on the Climber? Yes, he roots him up into a spear from Kanavi. The severing bolt from downtown sends Xiaoya and XQW to the wayside. Somehow, Top Esports, after dropping 2 straight picks, don't drop the Baron, and they're going to clean all house on the side. Down goes Sasa. 3 kills back to Top Esports. It's another disaster for LGD in the late game.
No, they overstay and overplay their hand. It's also Hex Tech map, so you get right back out into the map as soon as possible. 18 seconds before Climber is up. YCX is only just now respawning, but it's up to the 80 carry in mid lane of LGD to make good.
Oh, yeah. He cleanses the fear, eats a spiraling.
He's gliding!
In goes Kanavi, great flashback. Xiaoya gets the huge spears. What a double kill. He still has more space to run, but here comes 369 with the World Ender.
Oh,
Big
they did
charge,
it!
Sidestep on the piercing arrow. Xiaoya's Draven is to be feared for this very reason, folks.
It's pure drama here in Game 3. Potential match point here for TES as we get a very hectic play around this Baron. TES not able to take the Baron. LGD not able to take the Baron. And we finally get some reprieve. People are buying items. We've got Dragon being started here by LGD. But man, oh man, this game is close. LGD want at least a chance at playoffs, and TES, they don't want any kind of ways around it. They need to lock in this 3-0.
They need to shut down Xiaoya, who's just in his flow state. I mean, off that fight alone, he grabs a rapid-fire cannon. As we get the replay,
Yeah.
This one's going to be a long one, folks.
Yeah, I hope when we come back out, we have at least an objective taken. And the start of this is so good for LGD. I mean, XQW is kind of just sitting here. I think that the start of this fight was a bit dangerous. It started with them finding Chris, but he had to flash out. And now look at where the damage dealers are. Xiaoya is doing blue buff. XQW has 1,000 HP. They were thinking maybe we could do this, but it takes way too long for the damage dealers to get here, and Cream's able to come back out into this fight. They're so low, and this was the part where it looked like, hey, LGD are able to kind of lose this one. Yeah, oh, we're getting multi-parts of this, and Xiaoya,
Let's go.
he gets the cleanse. He also has the flash available to him. He won't have that for this next fight, so maybe that's a way for TES to find access onto the back line.
Oh,
Whoa,
Climber takes the
Climber!
realm warp into the back line. He wants Cream. He's going to get him, but where's the rest of the damage? Cream gets a Spiraling Despair out, but it's too late. Crisp and Cream are cookies and cream now to the ice cream maker of LGD. The same exact 2 picks they got the last time round.
Oh, no. Can TES defend around this Baron? Kanavi still alive. Jackie Love still dealing damage, and Climber has to reset. But again, Hextech map means you can get back out on the map incredibly fast. A single spear landing onto XQW will shove LGD out from the river, and we get back into a tense game. It's 2,000 gold. It's those same picks like you were mentioning. Crisp and Cream getting caught repeatedly here in this third game is making it more and more difficult for TES to actually do anything. Remember, it was the mid game. We were seeing Chris get caught out. That stopped TES from continuing the snowball. Here again, they're not able to kind of press their advantage.
And the comp Top Esports have designed, right? It's paramount that they can get into a comfortable spot to fire these arrows and these spears and the Hui damage. But LGD have not let them settle in around this Baron yet with their full 5 members. And that's what's really kept TES out of doing that damage. Like you mentioned, Alk, I love the way you pointed out during draft. Top Esports mission is every time before an objective to make sure their health bars are bigger than their opponents, and you can see it starting to manifest with YCX. He's knocked out of the fight. XQW goes to the stasis to avoid the crash down. 369 pops the World Ender, but he's getting chunked by Xiaoya's damage. The Draven's starting to cook, and look at all the work Climber does on the front side. But 369 hops over the wall, gets a reset, gets a heal. The Realm Warp has to take the carries out as Sasa dropped next. This time round, TES survive the barrage and find themselves another 2 picks, and maybe finally somebody will take the Baron.
369 Aatrox stays alive. The World Ender versus everybody on LGD saves them the fight, grabs them the Baron. Oh my god, such a drama-filled game here. Damage coming out from Climber and Sasa was great, but XQW had to zone these immediately. He was an irrelevant team fighter, and those were summoner spells now gone from this rise. I think LGD are jumping the gun quite a little bit, and I think almost poetically, as we're describing it, YCX loses all of his HP. This means his Nautilus is nowhere near the fight. And we get to see this engage coming in from TES. The damage, I mean, look where Xiaoya is. He's only hitting onto 369. XQW is out of this fight. YCX is out of this fight. And the spacing coming out from 369. Just beautiful. And I loved how TES were able to turn this fight, play towards their bruisers. And now they've got the Baron on their backs, Dragon spawning in a minute. It'll be Soul if LGD are able to contest this. So I like how TES are setting up early. They're denying vision and making sure that they're pushing out on the 2 ways that are relevant to this so that they can make this play. And they still have 5 grubs, so this bottom tier 2 is not long for the world.
All the same prevailing thoughts we had after the first 2 games. We were waiting for YCX to get on that engage-oriented champion. And he was dominant in that early to mid-game phase you're talking about. He is the key engage tool, and nothing points out more than that last fight showing what happens when he isn't the one to start the fights. It's just such a different ball game, but they've still got time, and most importantly, despite how late we started the Dragons, Hextech Soul is theirs to play for if they can get control of this river in time, with it spawning in just 15 seconds.
Yeah, the criticism for YCX so far in this series is similar to Crisp. Crisp getting caught out a little bit too much, and YCX takes too much damage earlier on to fights. It's one of the skill sets you have to have as an engage, as a tank player, is when can you take damage? When are you allowed to do so? And now he's half HP. LGD can't enter into this pit unless it's a massive steal from Climber. XQW does have the Realm Warp, and I think TES kind of in a tricky situation. They need to be able to push out this bottom lane wave, but they don't have access. They now will know where this rise is. Sasa, though, uses his flash, but he forces TES out of the pit.
Yeah, starting to reel back in with some of this poke. Remember, it's all about spears, arrows, and Hui damage to create space. YCX trying to find a flank, can't get to it, and we might just 50-50 this Dragon, but it's Climber to secure it, gets the Hextech Soul, and now Top Esports are on the back foot. Well, we're back in the backline for XQW, but he's got no friends with him. He's all alone. He's going to pay the piper. Double kill over to Jackie Love as he sent YCX to the great screen on the backside. Soul's going to cost LGD about quadra% what they got out of it.
XQW, I think those lights are just a little too bright as he sends himself to the gray screen. And now TES are going to be able to break open this mid turret.
Holy moly, that
they still have Baron,
ludicrous.
Man. Oh,
they
God,
go for it.
So
They've
dangerous.
got the grubs. Top Esports, 5 strong. They're looking for the knockout blow. YCX spawns in 5 seconds, but XQW is a whole half a minute out from being able to get here. Climber goes in with the Cyclone, trying to get the knockups, but there's not enough damage. Climber goes down. They trade out Chris, and they have
there it is.
Sasa picks up the first kill. Jackie Love tried to step up, but he can't burn through Sasa's health bar. He's surviving so long. Finally, he falls. Xiaoya is off to the wrong side of the fight here, trying to heal off the minions, but 369 smells blood in the water, gets the knockup.
Wait a minute, he's doing it, Xiaoya!
The whirling death nearly finds 3. It's a big stasis. Piercing arrow doesn't land from Jackie Love. And everybody settles down as Xiaoya once again saves his team from the ultimate grim.
Oh my God, he makes the play happen. 1v3 there in the play with this Draven. It is all hands on deck for LGD. They need to be getting around their AD carry. And for Xiaoya, who just joined LGD last year, he's the only holdover from the 2023 roster. He needs to deliver in this game. As we check this replay, this part is great. Kanavi just barely gets into a pit. It's a smite steal from Climber. But from here, YCX can't get into this Realm Warp. XQW just sends himself right into the back line, and no one can deal damage. LGD almost lose the game off of getting Hextech Soul, but it is this fight here from LGD's AD carry that saves this entire play and at least gives them a few more moments in this game 3.
Sasa's Udyr, I mean, it's just so hard to deal with. The one worry with this lethality Varus just allows Sasa to be such a menace, but you pointed it out. Xiaoya, this Draven, I mean, this could have been the whirling death of all whirling deaths right here. Imagine if this hits Kanavi.
Yeah, if it hit Kanavi, if it had killed Jackie Love there, I don't think it would have been able to do all that much. I think death timers are still pretty long and there's no objectives to play for. We have 50 seconds before this Baron, and I want to do a summoner spell check. No summoner spells on Xiaoya, so any CC that lands on him is just going to have to be taken straight up to the face. And here for TES, no flash on Cream, no flash on Jackie Love, and no flash on 369. This Wukong ultimate can be so dangerous. XQW, we've seen a couple of questionable realm warps, but he's able to get his front line right in there. I think he can disrupt what TES are doing. This game is so close. Hextech Soul, though, I think has to be such a big difference maker, especially with how easy it is. And once you get onto that backline, you can basically never move.
But the setup is here for Top Esports with those super minions. They're going to surrender the mid wave for now. Maybe a bit early here. Baron not on the Rift. They can't threaten it just yet, so it's going to give LGD a lot of space.
Ooh, I like this from Kanavi. Kanavi taking enemy blue buff, giving his entire team global blues. I think that's not that bad. Again, like you were saying, access to the mid wave first does mean that LGD, they need to just walk through all of this, though, and think about what you're walking into. You're walking into Hui setup, potentially, all of these traps, all of this damage. And now YCX taking a fair bit here on the entrance, getting a bit of a dance now around this. And I want to note, there's a Banshee's Veil, or not a Banshee's, but an Edge of Night here for Jackie Love, a spell shield, which will stop any engage or a targeted ultimate coming in from YCX's Nautilus.
You can see it's an effort to just throw so much of this poke over at YCX because they recognize this Nautilus is what's been kicking off so many of these successful fights for LGD, who are now going to look at a reset timer after getting the mid wave up. Looks like both teams will handshake it, see if any pretty big breakpoint items come across or either side. But markedly, we've got Jackie Love himself. This is full build Varus, except those upgraded boots with the I always call it Shirelia's.
Which one?
Shirelia's grudge. The armor pen.
Oh, Sorelda's.
Sorelda's. Yeah,
there we go.
Completed there for Jackie Love.
So he has a lot of armor penetration, also has a lot of ability haste here, and we'll see what they're able to do. But big thing here now is most of the summoner spells for both teams are back up and available. So now we're going to be able to see kind of an all-out team fight. People playing with a little looser, but again, if TES win this game, that'll be the last game of our group stage, and that'll be the last game that'll put TES into the playoffs as the second seed here for Group A underneath anyone's legend.
The LDL title organization, LGD, looking to make waves on a much bigger stage with a bunch of exciting rookies to boot.
YCX?
YCX flashes over the dredge line, but 369 matches it perfectly. Still, though, that support flash for a pretty key one off the Aatrox. But everyone settles back in, and the poke begins to fly back through for Top Esports.
Ooh, there's no Whirling Death either. They thought they were going to try to find an all in there. And even if LGD, in the miracle that they're able to win this game off of one team fight, they'd have to do it 3 more times afterwards if they want to be able to win. Chris finds engage on XQW.
They get XQW, goes to the stations, but he's got no one with him. He's going to fall no matter what, even through all of the shielding. Down goes XQW, but it's got to be Xiaoyu on the backside of the fight. Climbers far too low, and 369 is zoning away the prized AD carry. The pick on XQW this time should be enough to send a staple org of the LPL to the playoffs. There's the route. One more big Q from 369. Give him the
it's
just not enough. It's Xiaoyu again, but it's just not going to do it. There's everybody else dropped off the map. Xiaoyu tried all he could to keep LGD in the LPL split, but it's going to come up just short in the nick of time. Nexus turret's next, inhibitor to fall. There's nothing he and LGD can do but watch their split end to the might of Top Esports.
Can the back be stopped? That's gonna be
There it is.
LGD are out. Oh, man.
It's a 3-0 for Top Esports. But outside of Game 2, it felt as close as you can get in the series.
Top Esports get it done. There were some question marks thrown their way, especially in Game 1, and it got a little bit tricky there in Game 3, but I think we got to see a lot of consistent team fighting from them. And welcome, Top Esports. It's a little late, but better late than never. Welcome to the playoffs here in LPL. And we have to unfortunately say goodbye to LGD as they'll be taking their last round around that stage for at least the next couple months.
But what a resilient showing nonetheless. Outside of Game 2, I'm going to keep reiterating it. This series as a whole was much closer than the series score will dictate, and none other than this Game 3. What a performance from Xiaoyu in this one.
Yes.
I mean, it's the classic AD carry adage. Sometimes you could do everything in your power, but your role's just too weak.
Sometimes your mid laner just decides to get engaged upon by 5 members of enemy team. Happens.
3 times in a row.
Yeah. XGW, I think a lot of question marks got to be thrown at his way. Rightful criticism for, unfortunately, just not being able to kind of pull it all together here in this best of 5. I know it is only 3 games, but you take a look back at game 1, that should have been a win for LGD. Look back at this game 3, and I think you can make an argument that this also could have been a win for them. TES, I think, feel kind of leaning a little bit more on that experience. And 369, man, I don't care what all these popular votes at the bottom.
Dude,
this guy, 3 games in a row, has put up, I mean, keeping his team in the game. We think all the way back to that first game, that Jace is the only reason that they kind of got back, barring even a blast cone from Climber.
And this Aatrox is the only reason this Xiaoya didn't just delete these last couple of fights. That fight up past the Baron pit, he's the one zoning Xiaoya away from his whole team as Climber and YXCX are doing their thing in the back line. And it was the same thing again. Xiaoya is so fearless in this game, but the one guy he always had to be worried about was a staple LPL top laner, a veteran of the scene, 369.
Yeah. Good stuff for him, especially for a player who hadn't really found his footing, especially in the AL series. I think him versus Anyone's Legend versus Flandre was kind of eye-opening. It felt like 369 had started to fall off just a little bit. Maybe he's just playing against Flandre and kind of the plays that they were able to do. Couldn't really connect it, but here I think this is a really good pick-me-up for a TES team that we're looking to at least go far, and who knows, maybe with the changes in their roster from last year that they'll be able to kind of push a little bit further than they did. Although, hey man, making all the internationals in a year, making top 8, pretty good for the most part.
Yeah, the sentiment coming out of this is it was far from easy. It didn't look as clean as Top Esports would want to, but they're in. And while they're not going to get the nice double elimination to play through, and well, we'll see with the draw show that I guess we're actually going to get to do at the end of this night, how rough the road is going to be. But they're in. That's the prevailing thought after the series closes out.
Exactly. For everybody at home, if you're wondering, oh, I can turn off the stream, you could if you really wanted to. I can't stop you. But we will have the draw show for the playoffs directly after this. So we're going to be waiting to see what player the game is. We're going to take a short break for ourselves once that comes up. But then we're going to have the draw to see who is in for playoffs. And honestly, if you didn't check the schedule, honestly, it is really rough. We're going to be taking a break after today. We'll come back on the 22nd. And then we're playing 2 best of 5s every day for 3 days straight. From the 22nd through the 24th, we're having 2 best of 5s back to back every single day, which is going to be a really big monumental task, especially for all of the volunteers here on the program.
Yeah, pray for us here. If you thought sleep schedules were bad then, they're about to get worse, but it's because the LPL matchups are getting tantalizing. We're going to look at these endgame stats here, and, you know, I know Jackie Love ends with 50K. It's not hard to get high damage numbers when you're playing a poke champion and do a decent front line. It's Xiaoya here that really shined. And look at that gold graph. I mean, if you didn't watch the game and I only showed you that gold graph, you should know it was a banger.
Yeah, exactly. Got to be thinking about MVPs, man. I know we saw that Kareem was getting a lot of love from popular vote. I don't know how you're feeling. I know I've kind of tainted your mind with all the 369 love, but how are you feeling?
I feel like Crisp is a sneaky... No, he got caught way too much in the mid-game. I think it's a tough spot. A lot of early... You know, there was a lot of good early power from Kanavi. I think this literally was getting a ton of work done in the early game, but like most Italy's can find, you can falter in the team fighting.
Okay, that was not his fault. His support literally ran it down for like a 3-minute span and made the game tough. So,
and then Jackie Love, if you're looking at the stats here, I mean, he tops the damage charts. He ends with a pretty awesome stat line as well. They didn't give a Jackie Love MVP in the series yet. If you want to play towards the fans, that's always a safe vote in the LPL.
Please. He didn't do much. They got 2v2 killed. They had jungle assistance. Just give it to Kanavi or give it over to 369.
Yeah, the more I talk, I feel like it's a 369 angle.
They're probably not going to give it to 369 because, like, he's playing Aatrox. and there wasn't like a Bin Aatrox moment where he like just completely tears apart a team fight. But like, you gotta, I think holistically with how he played throughout the season, without how the split, sorry, the series, and then you just think of like all the games he's played in general. I think that this is a really strong showing from him, especially on a couple of champions that we know him for, especially the Gnar and the Aatrox.
Without a doubt. And
I need to kidnap my cat. Continue.
The fights, okay, the fights that matter most. It was 369, the 369's Aatrox that was doing the work here. Unfortunately, this highlight package is marred by what's really going to hurt LGD when they look to go back at the tape, especially in games 1 and 3. There's no sugarcoating it. They really shot themselves in the foot in a couple of these big fights.
I think it's so exciting for LGD. I know that mistakes tend to kind of harbor a lot of negative feelings, and you can obviously get down and really hard on yourself for what you've done in the past. But I think about the first 15 minutes of this game, of Game 1. I think of some of the exciting prospects that we've had here for LGD, and a fight like this, Xiaoya and YCX, both of them together, I think can show a lot more in a split 2 where you're playing against teams that are more alongside your caliber. And I mean, you got more exciting teams to play against as well. Like, yes, you're an expected underdog going against TES, and the scoreline won't show it, but there are a lot of close games here, and that just means that split 2 against teams you're closer in, we're going to get banger series between those guys. Imagine like a RNG versus LGD, and that series might actually mean something, and that hasn't occurred in like a couple of years now.
Or like a LGD Thunder Talk series, right? Let's see like the two real fun young rosters.
Yeah, well now that they're first seed, depending on how far they end, they'll actually be in the group 1 for the season.
True.
So so they'll be playing against other top dogs, and maybe that'll test whether or not Thunder Talk are the real deal.
Well, Navi is the real deal in the MVP conversation. He goes back-to-back, 2 of his 3 MVPs of the split, coming in this 3-0 series for Top Esports. I can respect it. Stat line looks great, and he was really commanding the early game here to make sure that Top Esports didn't fall too far behind when LGD started really roaring.
30% of his team's damage as well as in Italy. Pretty impressive, especially for what was a pretty strong early game now. Aside from that, that's kind of the series over. I don't know if I feel like we should be taking a break after this one. We're going to send it to a quick break, everybody, and when we're back, we're going to have the draw show for playoffs. So please stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Told my boss that I'm done. Had no luck with my mom. Say, what will you do with your life? You know it's hard to survive. A cigar in my mouth. Maybe guilty but proud. Now I'm an outlaw on the run. Dangerous but it's so fun. Running, running low. Hold on, don't let go. Running, running low. Keep running low.
Welcome
Hi,
everybody
guys.
back as we jump right in to our group draw, sorry, not group draw. Draw out of groups for our playoff teams. We're jumping right into it. Here we go. Balls are
There we
turning
go.
in the cup.
Okay, and this is really important. These are our first round matchups in the top side of the bracket. These are the teams that will have access to
Thundertalk.
double elimination here. Thundertalk get drawn first, which I'm assuming we're probably all just going to draw them like in a row. I don't know if there's really any can't really have any cross group representation or anything that looks like an NIP. Oh my god. NIP TT is our first playoff match. Oh my god. Oh wait, no. Oh, let's go.
Wait, what? Why can't they match up?
I don't know. They're probably just doing, it's fine. It's fine. It's not a big deal. It's okay. It's okay. Wait, so my prediction, I remember I made a fake bracket yesterday.
You made the fake bracket,
Anyone's legends need to be drawn right here. No!
Oh, right.
All right, well, all right, take me off the broadcast, guys. It's fine. So we know the last matchup, but real quick, Slayer, TT versus JDG. How are we feeling?
I mean, for Thunder Talk, I continue to think after the BLG series that they've established such an identity that if they can stick to their identity and they keep that confidence, they can be dangerous versus anybody, but they're also playing a team that really woke up when it mattered most in JDG. And
Paze
you're the
looks
JDG
like
guy.
he's the GOAT, man. Paze looks like the GOAT right now, bro. It does not matter if Scout is running him down. That could be a really fun matchup. I think bot lane already sticking out to me. And real quick before we move on, that NIP versus Anyone's Legend series. Woo! Shanks versus Doinby. I'm ready for it. We get our first matches.
Oh boy.
Bottom of the
bad.
bracket. These are the
Big bad
single
already drawn.
elim. You already have BLG.
All right, so the next one is gonna dodge BLG. So if you're IGTS or Weibo, you want this to be your team right here to dodge the worst pick, and it's gonna be Top Esports that just grabbed playoffs. They're gonna dodge BLG on the other side of the lower bracket.
Okay, for fan count, I'm gonna ask, please, BLG IG. I don't care about it. Come on, give it to me.
I want Weibo. Weibo.
No!
BLG Weibo. Let's go.
No, I didn't want Nova to think about it, bro. Knight versus
Xiaohu again.
Fine. Dude, imagine IG with Rookie at the Shy versus BLG, and they beat them at Worlds 2022 or 2023. Oh, we could have had it again. It's okay, whatever, man. It's IG versus TS, still very hype, and that's going to be our playoff bracket. These 4 teams are going to be playing with a single life in playoffs, and if BLG in particular want to make it to first stand, they need to win 5 best-of-5s in a row.
For the 2-time champs. What a road. I mean,
Light work.
Light work, easy. All right, well, there's our draw show. Man, that was way faster than I remember any of the Worlds ones being, ever.
My God. I wonder if they'll have an updated bracket for us, because I know some of these were coming out, but as we're closing out the show, I want to remind everybody we will be taking a small break. If you somehow missed out on the bracket, it was posted a couple of days ago, but we'll be back on the 22nd. So, again, we have 3 days, the 22nd, the 23rd, and the 24th, where we'll be seeing 2 best-of-5s every single night. It's going to be a lot of games. It's going to be a lot of broadcasting. I hope that our crew here, hopefully we're able to find a solution for all of those shifts. But, yeah, exciting groups. Any matches that you're immediately like, I need this right now. I want to skip to that day.
I mean, I'm gonna be the homer. I want to skip to the Weibo BLG series. Because it's single elim. Like the fact that one of those 2 orgs is not gonna win a playoff series and just be done for months is huge. If this was in the upper bracket, I'd be like, yeah, this is cool, but like this would be cooler later in the bracket. No, it's right off the rip. So honestly, as much as here we go. Here's that bracket. We get it. Okay. So, yeah, get the screenshots going. We need to grab this
I'm
now.
screenshotting this right now. This bracket's cold.
As cool as it is as the Thunder Talk guy to see them go up against JDG, the stakes of these lower matches is just so tantalizing to me.
Just crazy. I'm looking at that TT JDG one. That's our first series, actually, coming back from our mini break there. Jesus Christ, man. I just want to see 1xN versus Pays, because 1xN has been kind of slowly starting to reach that, but Pays in his 3 series already, he looks like he hasn't missed a beat from a Gen G that is kind of struggling without him right now.
Oh, I missed that. I was trying to figure out, because I know we've already scheduled out what days we're supposed to be casting.
We can change it. We can change it. It's okay. I can change it. I have the mod. I have mod privs.
Okay.
So.
Okay. I was trying to figure out which matchup I was on already, but I guess I'm jumping the gun on there a little bit.
Beg. If you want it, beg. It's fine. We can do that. We do begging later. It's fine. For everybody at home, I'm really excited to get through all of them. I'm really excited to get into the playoffs.
And except for my sleep schedule.
It's great, I think, that we get to have so many high-stakes best-of-5s so soon. I think that one of the criticisms of previous LPL formats was that there were a lot of just dead best-of-3 games that not a lot of viewers were going to be watching, and we had a last day of groups where the last match was deciding groups or playoffs, and now we have a playoff bracket that is incredibly a banger. So exciting to see playoffs, and excited for the small break yet again before we dip right into the craziness that is LPL.
Oh, man. Can't wait to see the storylines, all the stats that are thrown out, the hype behind these is going to be immaculate. And at least the one good part about the break for everybody at home is that you really get to soak in the stakes and the hype of some of these matchups. But as much fun as the extra League of Legends extra content we got at the end of this stream after the 3-0, that does end our final broadcast of the group stage of Split 1. Be the final one for myself and Ulk as we saw Top Esports close out their regular split with a dominant 3-0 win over LGD. And you saw the matchup they got. There's only one thing left to do, Ulk, and that's shout out some more coffee supporters.
Drew, we want to thank everybody who supported us on Coffee, but a very special thanks to our elite Coffee supporter, Aaron Soup. Their pledged financial contribution every month helps level up the broadcast and give back to the crew and everybody here who helps strive to give you an LPL English product every single day. And it's people like him that are able to kind of help us run this ship. So to him and everybody else who's been able to help us, whether a YouTube subscriber, a Twitch subscriber, a Coffee supporter, or even just a good old chatter like yourself in chat, this is not possible without people like you helping people like us.
So thank you once more. Links are below to help out and support if you've decided to, because the best League of Legends of the LPL in 25 will be coming soon after that break. Like you heard Ulk say earlier, we'll be back on the 22nd to start firing out best of fives like nothing. Just like water
Everywhere.
out of a fire hydrant, one would say. Just easy. But we're closing out here the broadcast here tonight. So for myself and Ulk on the broadcast, it's been a blast. Even though LGD didn't get the job done, they kept it competitive against Top Esports. Shout out to our producer behind the scenes. Happy birthday, Mickey.
Happy
Everybody say
birthday,
happy
Mickey.
Shout out to our awesome
Woo!
producer. And then Kelsey stepping up on socials tonight, making sure to break her sleep schedule even more than it already has. That does it, though, folks. We will see you on the 22nd as the best of fives get the playoff title added next to them. Until then, take care, and we'll see you soon.